and that's what we bought it for. You know, I got a small one, so it's not, I don't want these kids with 350 horsepower, but.
Sitting at my desk when I'm sitting across my computer comes Highland, the Marine at Highland Lake, right, $64 in gas. I said, what the hell? I said, how'd they get there? Because they spin that right off right then and there, you know? Yeah.
What do you get for a gallon of gas?
They're not $4 or something.
That's it?
Yeah,
Is
they're
the eye
not-
test?
I don't think they're super outrageous.
I don't know, I've brought it in forever because
Yeah, no,
that's just what I got used to.
I
It's,
go down there, I use it. Try to,
well, back when Tatos had it, there was the old tank, there was rumors that it leaked and you had water in there.
Like his is brand new above ground.
Right,
I mean, that's what I
right, so it's
said.
gotta be good.
Yeah, I remember looking at that setup, and we approved it, it was quite
If
good.
it's any heavier, I won't be able to carry it.
Yeah.
It does, I know.
You
I
need an
get the same
assistant.
complaint.
You gotta get an
Hello,
assistant,
Jackie.
right?
So
Oh,
we
yeah.
changed the ordinance, you have any suggestions yet?
Yeah, we already decided. No second vote.
We decided
Absolutely not. No
No
one
what?
really wants it, we're cutting it out.
What's that?
No second vote.
There you go, I don't care.
How's it going?
Good, you?
Good, good.
Good, good. Uh-oh, we're in trouble, the time is wrong up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're,
Outside.
Not even close.
no,
For 2 minutes.
no, not even close. We got a bunch of folk here.
I couldn't carry this with the straps.
Yeah, it's a load today, isn't it?
How big meeting over the hospital?
So,
That last one we had, I couldn't.
It went all right. It's,
I tried to organize as best I could today in
I did
order, but I
too.
couldn't, it was just,
Yeah, yeah.
This
I looked
week's,
down
last
the hallway
week's.
today, I got-
steep bank.
Yeah.
I tried to
I think I got pretty good.
get things in good order,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I did.
Hey, Jeff.
Hello.
I didn't see you when I walked in, were you sitting there?
I was trying to get the recording
okay.
going. It's going,
I
so
thought,
let's hope it keeps going.
oh, man.
I know she's not wearing a sling, your shoulder must be getting somewhat better.
It is getting some, it's a lot better, but it's,
I want to ask you, so reading through all this stuff about the ordinances and stuff, it came upon me that I could have a swoop bath.
What's doing, Gary?
All right, you?
How do you
How's your wife doing with that medicine?
right?
All right, she's on that, she's finished on the,
it is a
tracker.
What?
She had a tracker.
Oh, yeah.
Your swim, your float that's out in the
float with an anchor.
Yeah, I could probably bring my laptop in if you want to bring that up to me, and then.
Yeah, I probably should have done it before, and I don't know if it's really.
Is it something for tonight's business?
You know, my daughter came over tonight, she had supper with us, just one day with her tonight,
I thought
we get home.
But I also have a tablet.
You know, like,
We got
you know, like, coming here is imposing on my kids.
Yeah.
I can't live, I don't wanna live
Get
alone.
out there, or we
You
got
know,
a
so
couple
like,
minutes.
and they know that I like
Just want a strong
being
carrot,
involved,
a
so
couple of strong
they just,
carrots. Okay.
I'll be there and don't worry about it kind of thing. So it's easier for me, on me, but, you know, I feel bad for the
They're not
kids.
gonna be
You
presenting
know, like,
tonight.
I'll
They
get home
requested
at
an
10:30,
extension, so
quarter to
we'll
11.
worry about
Yeah,
that
maybe
one.
on the next one, but in the future, if I email them, would that be the best way to do it?
Yeah, if you can get them to me, and then
Yeah,
we can make a
that's
first packet, so, if you can get them to me by the, Thursday beforehand.
Or even just, I don't know if they knew you were
Everybody
back
has
this, if we had, I was thinking more picture we have for
Very
reference.
lucky you have it close.
Yeah.
People that didn't see it either.
Right.
broke
Yeah.
from it. It was
Yeah, we'll figure it out if you wanna.
So I was able
Yeah, and I put in a
So I
photo
said,
array in your packets as well. And,
Okay, I didn't see, I don't know if I got my
it
own
would
stuff.
move if I pulled it.
yeah,
So
'cause I was
pulled
out
it
there one day and I said,
got
let me
it
take a bunch
against
of
my
pictures so they can
wall.
see what's going
So
on. Your
then
water was kind of running,
I-
so
I
I figured why
took
not,
a
you know.
bungee cord with a.
Oh, I thought we had,
thing.
I thought we had 8 members, we have
Threw it
7.
and I got it
There,
in
so there
between
was
boards
the
of
Spencer Street
it.
application.
I-
We gave you the full packet after the fact.
This was close.
And then there was.
Miss, I gotta go down there real quick.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm
reality
I didn't
was
grab
good.
that in our packet.
All right.
That,
Sorry about that.
The last thing is not gonna hold.
Yeah.
that Winston
And
Hospital
I noticed there
deal,
was a circle on.
if we didn't have a quorum and no meeting,
Right.
they'd
The
That'd be out.
of the raft.
Okay.
So I was able to get it up close enough to the wall to put the bungee cord.
I don't see a lot of the
into
players
that,
here.
And then to wrap it around a tree. because there's enough tension, you know.
So
coming.
it's not,
So
not taking your boats out?
Moves, I guess, huh?
No,
It
not
moves
yet.
easily.
We'll let them drag for.
What do you do in the winter?
Jeff and I was
We-
talking,
we-
we'll go for a
pull
couple
that?
weeks. I got
We
a
drag
schedule
it,
with
see, we
Heckleberry
have a
Marine.
very
I gotta
long
take it out,
shoreline,
I know.
take the cover off, then take the boat
so we
off,
just
cover it,
drag
bring
it
it down the
in
drive. They gotta
to
pick
the
it up.
Close to
cove.
Steve's house?
20-hour
and
service.
Our
It's not that
house
place.
here's his house.
I don't wanna
and
sit
his-
out down there, so I
Here's
gotta
mine.
coordinate it with them.
And so
once I
in this
watch.
corner
I
here,
took the ski boat out
there's
saw
no,
that, yeah.
last
water
week,
in the winter.
only because the kids
So
aren't
we
coming
just
up
pull it
anymore.
into that corner
And,
That's how I do with my float.
Yeah, it's nice to get a couple, get,
yeah, I'm gonna, you know, I'll leave the pontoon
Yacht
boat in,
doesn't float.
because if it's a nice day like today and you wanna go out,
That's
you
kind of a
only
nice
3
thing
boats
to
to
have
go out.
out there. I would think,
I think Friday I'll take the jet ski out if I get a
I mean,
chance.
people, it's been
And,
going
you
now,
know,
and they
clean it,
didn't bother to
bring it down to Chris
to
Kiley, he
put
winterizes
it
it,
back out
puts it
because
away, and
they
that's the
were
end
busy
of it.
pulling it out anyway.
yeah, right.
But, people just come right up to.
nice to have, and nice.
You know,
You have facilities where you can store your boats indoors?
Yeah, I get the, like,
Glass
building
is
back
in here,
on
so
both units on the right-hand side.
Oh, good,
these.
that's smart. Yeah, get them out of the weather. Although this year, Chris Kiley said to me yesterday or today, I saw him, today? He said to me,
do you wanna get together
you know,
sometime?
it's not so bad where you can take the insurance off the boats for half the year.
Right.
To go up
I
to
says,
the-
State Farm doesn't allow that.
over the regulations.
I says, as a matter of fact, I put,
read 'em.
Rosa's got a little Miata, and I put it away for the winter. I said, for years,
Which did you
I
read?
used to drop collision and liability.
See,
Got a letter from State Farm, you can't drop it
Because I
anymore.
read it in my-
Either you have insurance or you don't have insurance.
This one.
I saw Chris Kiley, you remember when I saw him at the trade?
Chapter 3.
I put him on the spot, he just like froze off.
Oh, yeah?
It was
And
like
then
awkward.
it was like this addendum.
Oh, you didn't recognize you?
I don't know if he remembers me getting on the board that long, I didn't hold it against him, you know, but he was like a deer in the headlights.
Whole bunch
And I
of
walked away, so
different
that was
Well, this looks like
kind of information. And I wasn't quick enough to say, hey, Russ, remember?
I like the trip.
Yeah.
I like
The
going there.
little black bar.
62.
Steve, we're ready whenever you are.
This is.
It's only 5 after 2.
Well, that's not right, it's 7:03.
I've got a whole bunch of different ones.
That's not gonna do us any good.
Let's stop.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission, the September 20th, 2023 meeting to order. It's 7:02 PM. Attendance-wise, Steve Molinelli, chairperson, present. Russell Davenport, vice chair.
Present.
Jackie Mulvey, secretary. Jeff Lippincott.
Present.
Frank Oliveri, absent. Gary Paganelli.
Present.
And Mason Trinwitter, absent. And for public information, we still have 2 vacancies on our commission. Next order of business would be the approval of minutes. Unfortunately, we had the regular scheduled August meeting and the special meeting, which we had 2 weeks ago. Both of those minutes were not available and not in our packet, so we have no minutes to approve at this time. Hopefully, we'll have them for the next meeting, okay? Under agenda review, I got a pile of papers here, guys, and I'm hoping to get through the entire agenda. If we don't, I'd like to indicate that we're not going to start any new business after 10:15 this evening. So just be aware of that. And the last, under agenda review, at the last regularly scheduled meeting, I prematurely closed a public hearing on an applicant, and by mistakenly closing it, we needed permission from the applicant and all parties concerned to reopen the public hearing. So that will take place under 23-11. We'll reopen the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
we actually need to take a vote to rescind the closing of the public hearing.
okay.
And then we won't have to reopen because it would not have
Do we
closed.
do the vote now? or
We can do it now.
Okay, is there anybody, I'll make the motion to rescind the public hearing closing for application 23-11-1. The applicant is Arthur Harwood Associates on behalf of property owners Stephen Heffer and Henna Sultan. The location is 211 West Wakefield Boulevard. Is there a second on reopening that public hearing? Gary? All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Jeff. First order of business tonight is application 23-2-1. The applicant is Maureen Pisano, 148 East Wakefield Boulevard, and this is a public hearing.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Good. Do we have a mic for Maureen or anybody at the table?
The town clerks are out at training, and the mics are in there. I'm not gonna be able to get in there to get
Okay.
them.
I'd ask that you introduce yourself loudly and then proceed so that we, you know.
My name is Maureen Pisano. I reside at 148 East Wakefield Boulevard, in the process of getting a dock and a boat lift permitted. Last public hearing, you had requested that you wanted to pin the property to the DiMartino line. My surveyor came. I feel it's not correct. We did try to get him up there. I'm just being honest.
No, I got
He
you.
feels the same way. There's a discrepancy somewheres. So he feels the same way. He tried to get his best to get up there before the meeting. So I guess I'm asking for a continuance from my public hearing, or if I need to withdraw my application and reapply. I know.
Okay, Jeff, do we have time if she withdraws?
If she withdraws and resubmits, it would reset the clock.
Okay, so
completely.
recess, does she have
Yeah.
time to continue?
My
We
question
would
is-
need to, get a request for an extension, so it's either way, however you'd like to play it.
It's just unfortunate it just happened. I mean, I just don't wanna continue anything until I'm sure everything is correct.
Yeah, and, you know, I was out to the property and
Yes, I
probably
missed
other
you.
people.
I was there, but
Yeah,
I
I
missed you
saw it
today.
too.
Yeah, there were, on one side of your property, there was a pink highlighting of a pin.
Right.
Then there was another highlighting of a pin with a post, and then a few feet away, there was another highlighting of something with a post.
He himself did not come, it's just in question, so. I don't know if the survey's in question.
You know what, I think it behooves.
Definitely the pinning is in question, there's no doubt about that, you know.
You think the pin on top of the, pipe?
No,
But that
I'm-
one's,
that
that's the,
side I'm sure
that
of.
ones you're sure of?
That one we're sure
Okay.
of, it's the two pins.
It's the two other ones, yeah, I saw 'em.
Exactly, yeah, exactly, so, I'm just,
All right, if she has time to continue at her request, then it would make sense to continue, because we can, if you don't produce the documentation, next month, then we're gonna have to deny it,
right,
because that wasn't provided, and then you'd have to reapply.
exactly.
Okay, so you'd like a continuance?
If I could, yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
next month I can get him up there and I can meet with Jeff and get this all straightened out, and Lorraine too, and we should hopefully be all set.
Okay, is there a motion? Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to continue IWWC 23-2-1 as a public hearing to the next scheduled meeting.
Second.
Okay,
Okay, great.
all those in favor of continuance? Okay, it's unanimous, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Hope
Okay.
the rest of your night goes as quick. Oh, yeah.
The next public hearing is application 23-11-1, Arthur Harwood and Associates on behalf of owners Heffer and Sultan. The address is 211 Wakefield Boulevard. I understand there's been some communication?
Yes, the applicant contacted us this afternoon and requested an extension.
Okay.
I have copies of the email here for the commission if you like them,
Okay,
but that's.
and they're entitled to an extension?
Yeah, they can request an extension.
Okay, and are they aware that our engineer has reviewed it and submitted documentation?
Yes, that's
To
part
us,
of
I
the
know.
reason the
To
extension was
them?
requested. Yeah, they have it, they're reviewing it and incorporating.
Okay, if and when you get back to them to tell them that the continuance was approved, please let their engineer review our engineer's comments rather than the surveyor who's been presenting for the most of the time. I just want to be sure that their engineer is on board with what we found,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to accept the continuance for this application 23-11?
I'll make a, or is there a motion? You're saying, I'll make a motion to continue IWWC 23-11-1 to our next scheduled meeting.
Okay, second? All those in favor? All right, it's again unanimous. Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Okay, hang on, guys. Gotta move the pile to 11. Okay. Next scheduled public hearing is 23-12-1. The owner of the applicant is Edmund Finn, 52 Strong Terrace. For the record, please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Edmund Finn. I'm the owner of 52 Strong Terrace here in Winston, Connecticut.
Thank you.
In view of the survey results, I no longer think this application is appropriate.
Okay,
So I would like to withdraw it.
okay.
So
All right, you're aware that you were in violation
I am.
and a cease and restore order?
Yeah, and.
Again, you know,
Yeah, what's happened now is having received the survey, those results have been passed on to Jackson Engineering. And the engineer is in the process of drawing up a
Remediation. Yeah, like a remediation plan, yeah.
a track for the issue here. And I have spoken with some contractors as well, so that's where we are with that.
Okay.
I'm waiting on the engineer, he didn't get the information until yesterday.
and the other thing I don't want to fall through the cracks is that we expect some kind of a soil scientist report also for possible contamination.
Yeah,
Possible contamination.
I have an issue with that.
Again, you know, that's what we're gonna request.
Okay.
So you can delay it as long as you'd
No,
like.
I don't wanna delay it, so.
Just keep
let's
that in
do it,
mind.
Get it done and move on.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept his withdrawal?
Well, is that, before
Go
the
ahead.
motion, is that he wants to withdraw because he's out of time before he can? But wouldn't we wanna view this engineer, or is this,
That's a survey.
well, I know, but the Jackson engineer, he's gonna come up with a remediation plan, wouldn't that still fall under our purview?
The gentleman wants to withdraw.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if he understood the right
Well,
course of this, that's all.
In the beginning, I thought I was supposed to submit an application to cover that area over as said, okay? Now, in view of the survey, I can see that that's not an appropriate action. So I want to withdraw my application. I still intend to deal with the other piece of this, which is the cease and desist.
Right.
Okay.
So that won't go away.
No, that doesn't go away, and there's no work done until you come before us again.
I understand that perfectly.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, I understand that perfectly.
okay.
All right, no, that's it, I just wanted to make sure everybody was on
Yeah.
the same page and doing the right
No, that
thing, and
still
it worked out for you
exists. I
also.
Okay.
understand that.
Okay, good.
Any other concerns on the part of the commissioner? Jeff, anything?
No, I think this is an appropriate course of action.
Okay, is there a motion
I make a motion to withdraw,
to accept his withdrawal?
to accept this withdrawal, of Edmund Finn, IWWC 33-1. Isn't it?
23-12-1.
But it's the cease.
And what,
Okay.
he's withdrawing his application. Is there a second to the withdrawal, Jeff? And just as an insurance, the cease and desist remains in place until a new application is submitted, and whatever you submit to us will go under the scrutiny of a brand-new application.
It's fine.
But you have a sense of where we're going.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Anything else, Jeff? Anybody? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you very much for your courtesy. Okay.
Rob, next is Spencer Street. Oh, you're in on too? Yeah, all right. You guys going on Mr. Big Screens? Yes. Okay.
Dave Batista, right? Okay. Whenever you're ready, Dave.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the commission and staff. My name is David Batista. I'm a licensed professional engineer in Connecticut with Haley Ward Incorporated at 140 Willow Street, an engineering firm. With me tonight is my colleague Robert Colabella, and we're going to present plans to you this evening for the Winsted Health Center renovation at 115 Spencer Street. For the record, I'd like to confer with the wetlands enforcement agent that our certified mailings were received by the office?
Yes.
Okay, so the certified certificates of mailing were mailed 12 days ago to the list that Shane gave us, and we added a couple to be safe, because our list is bigger than theirs. That's number one. Number two, we had a planning and zoning commission meeting, public hearing commenced last Monday, not this most recent Monday, but the one before. And they provided us with several sets of comments from town staff, which we've revised the plans to address. And they also, the architect, Shadler Selnow Associates, prepared a response letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And what I'd like to do is hand a copy out to this commission so that you can see what's going on around in the background with the plans.
Do those comments pertain and have any impact on wetlands and our decisions?
No wetlands, but it impacts the plans changing because of the ponds. Specifically, the biggest one was that they wanted a access road to get down to our potentials, which adds surface disturbance to the project. So we've revised that, and what I'd like to do is go through with planning and zoning next Monday. They have a public hearing, and work out all the details with them on what they wanted, and then issue a plan to this commission for peer review. If you remember, we had requested that you conduct the peer review after you make a decision. Because of the time constraints that we have with the grant application, we were hopefully that this commission would render a decision this evening, and then send the plans out for third-party review. And then we would be compelled to address whatever concerns were raised in that review review as a condition of approval.
All right, just before you continue, at our special meeting of this commission with your presentation, we indicated several things that we might be looking for in the plans, and we'll leave that aside for a moment. But we also indicated that, as a result of what you ultimately submit as a final plan, that this commission would request an independent engineer's review
Yes,
by that plan, of that plan.
yes,
And the second thing that we told you was that we would seek legal counsel to see on what grounds we stand and how to proceed.
yes.
So let me just read the comments from our town attorney, and if you disagree with the comments, then we might as well close the public hearing and go home. Okay? He indicates that the approval is conditioned on the filing of a report from an engineer chosen by the commission, which report shall address all the questions and concerns of the commission. Any recommendations of the engineer must be accepted by the applicant and incorporated into the approval. Should the applicant fail to accept all recommendations within, and he's saying 15 days. I'm saying if you need 30 days, we're comfortable with that. But again, it's gonna be, there's gonna be a finite date of the receipt of the report. This permit shall be null and void. It shall be in the commissioner's sole decision to choose the engineer and accept all or some of the engineer's recommendations and add other conditions it deems appropriate. So my understanding of Kevin Nelligan's letter to us is that we can conditionally approve this project as a result of the presentation tonight, but it's conditioned on our chosen engineer reviewing what you submit as your final proposal, and then implementing any or all of the suggestions that he or she makes regarding your design plan. And at that point, you can move ahead with your application and seek the funding that you seek for whatever you'd like to do. If you disagree, then his language says that our conditional approval becomes null and void. And so, I mean, it's like we're holding you over a barrel, but the time constraints don't allow us to follow normal protocol and timelines. So, you know, we're extending you the courtesy of knowing that you could get conditional approval, but there's a caveat.
Yes.
Okay.
We accept those conditions without hesitation. If it's possible, I would like to change that 15-day to 30.
Okay?
I don't think we'll need it, but just in case there's some type of a setback that we didn't expect, I'd like the additional time if I need it. So-
Jeff, that wasn't an issue with Kevin, am I correct?
I didn't ask him specifically, this was just a
Yeah,
draft of the
right.
language that you
I
could
think
use.
we're okay with the 30 days?
Yeah, I do think it should be noted, for the record, that Kevin does not recommend this.
Okay.
I just think it's in the letter that he wrote. I don't know if
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the letter or not.
I did.
Okay.
You know, I think in terms of being reasonable, if what the independent engineers finds in terms of significant changes that he or she is requesting, it behooves them to address them properly, and 15 days or 30 days,
I agree.
either way, it's null and void,
I agree.
okay? Anybody else with concerns? Gary, you good? Jackie? Okay, go ahead, Dave, I'm sorry. I just wanted to get the semantics out of the way so we understand where we're going. Okay, be my guest.
Okay, at our last meeting, which was a special meeting, we gave this commission, outside of a public hearing, a pretty detailed presentation, and I would like to, more or less go over that again, so that the public has access to what I told you at the last meeting, and so that I can show you what we're changing on the fly in response to planning and zoning and concerns that came up with this commission at your last meeting. I know you have a busy agenda, and I will breeze through it as quickly as possible. so that, out of respect for the other applicants here this evening.
But please don't sell yourself short or us short to be expedient.
Just want to make sure that I know the right keys. to
And
push
if
here.
you present, then, and he's quiet,
Yeah.
we'll get things done.
Yeah. All right, so, on the screen before you is the revised set with today's date on it, September 20. And it's really somewhat of a work in progress in that we haven't reconciled our proposal with planning and zoning yet. So, a lot of the things I'm showing you are what they asked for, or at least our impression of what they asked for, and we tried to hit everything that they asked for, planning and zoning, in these revisions, but I would like the opportunity on the planning and zoning public hearing coming up to make sure they're comfortable with that before we finalize the plans and hand them to the town for the third-party review. And I'm prepared to have those plans to you on the Friday following the Monday public hearing for planning and zoning. So the project here is Winstead Health Center renovation at 115 Spencer Street. I think everybody knows where this is. This is the old Winstead Memorial Hospital on the left side of Spencer Street as you're going up the hill. I'll just briefly touch about the program that's there. Even though it's not a wetland issue, I'll explain the development briefly. The Winstead Health Center proposes to more or less completely gut the hospital and the 1902 administration building and the old emergency room, right down to the studs, and reprogram the entire inside of the building. On the inside of the building, there will be 40 apartments that are targeted toward veterans, but not exclusive. The Fair Housing Act prevents the Winstead Health Center from forbidding anybody but veterans to live there. So all are welcome, but they're gonna really push for occupying those apartments with veterans. Also in the building will be an extensive entrepreneurial / makerspace area. In the basement of the old hospital will be a wood shop and a metal shop where people can come and tinker and work on ideas and build things that they think they might be able to sell the idea or get a patent on or whatever. Upstairs from that will be general maker spaces, which would include kitchens and all kinds of craft areas and networking areas where people can get together and brainstorm on how to make things, how to sell things, how to start their own business, etc. There will be an event center in this building, seating up to 150 people. They plan on having seminars in that event center and celebrations of accomplishments of people that are using the maker spaces. There will be the Veterans Administration will have their offices and clinic there. Veteran visitors will be allowed to come in and seek counsel from various professionals that work in that facility. The Winstead Health Center will have their offices in there. They're gonna be the landlord, and they're gonna continue on as a corporation, managing the building and following through on their mission. Also, above the event center, which is going to be above the emergency room, there's going to be a rooftop garden, like an outside park almost. That will be, for those that come to the building, will be able to go outside and enjoy the outdoors for a period of time. So that's the basic program, and the site plan that we have before you tonight and we're asking for approval on, we're actually not asking for site plan approval, we're asking for erosion control plan approval. But the site work that is the subject of the erosion control plan is based on program site improvements necessary to make this all happen, particularly with respect to parking. I'll skip through. This is a boundary survey of the property. The hospital is, the old hospital is right here. This wing here is the main hospital wing. The emergency room is in the middle, and the 1902 wing is right here. That's where the doctor's offices were recently held until they moved to the other side of town. This gray hatched area here is a lease area that's leased to the Susan M.B. Perry Senior Housing. And that development, there's no changes proposed on this area of the site at all. That facility will operate as it does now, with access from Spencer Street across an easement right here and up their driveway to where the building is right here. There's parcel 3 over here on the eastern side of Spencer Street. That is a parking lot now. It will continue to be a parking lot. There are no changes proposed here except to install lighting and restripe the parking. There's parcel 2 up here, which is way up on a hillside. There are no changes proposed or planned for this area. All the changes are going to occur in this part of the site, in the southern part of the site. And let me go to the next slide. We have some zoning information here, which I won't labor on. This is issues with planning and zoning, how we comply with the zoning regulations and what types of permits we're going for, and a demonstration of the amount of parking we need. We came up with the need for approximately 167 or 168 spaces, and that's what we're proposing. This is just an existing condition plan showing the building and the contours. As we discussed at our last meeting, it's a very difficult site because of the steep grades and tight working conditions. This is an overview plan showing our proposals. The existing hospital building is here. We have a dark gray area down here, which will be a stair tower addition. We have another addition right here, which is going to be a new main entrance into the facility from the westerly parking areas. We have a parking garage right here that we're proposing, 2 levels, and a connector between the parking garage and the old hospital building, and a stair tower right here. So the site will look very much like it does now, except for this parking garage, the upper level of which will be at the same elevation as the parking that everybody used to go visit the doctor or whatever, which is right in here. So that upper level is going to extend out into this big box, and people will be able to park in this entire area at that upper elevation. At the same time, we're going to build a driveway down near the loading dock, which is right here, and we're going to build a driveway along the southerly edge of the old hospital building and go into a lower level parking garage, or a parking level that's 20 feet lower than the upper one. And so that's where all our parking is coming from. There will be very little changes, if anything, in the main entrance to the hospital up here. The parking spaces that we're all familiar with from using this facility over the years will remain the same. Coming down here, there will be a stair tower addition built in front of the 1902 building for code purposes. We're eliminating a small little addition right here that's going to be torn down, and we're going to put some handicap parking right here. The fire department asked us to stripe 2 fire lanes, one right here and one right here, so that if a fire truck had to pull in, there wouldn't be cars parked in those areas and they'd be able to move them out. One of the things that planning and zoning asked us through the fire marshal was to eliminate 1 parking space here and find some other place to put it. We're going to add that space down in this corner here, which requires a little bit of fill and some site work. But very little site work on the eastern edge and the northern edge of the property. The construction access is, or the construction disturbance is really going to be this parking garage, and this driveway, which has a large retaining wall holding it up, and storm drainage. With respect to drainage, most of this hospital building right now drains out the southeast corner and goes down a green pipe, which is shown right here, and outlets into the woods right behind the Exploration School, and flows down through the woods all the way to Indian Meadow Brook, which is right here. This is the Indian Meadow Bridge on Route 44, right here. So most of the hospital, most of the eastern side of this site and the northern part drains down Morningside Avenue to the brook that runs through Gilbert School and Hinsdale School. Because we're proposing so few changes there, there's no need to change the drainage going out to the east. The upper part of the existing site currently drains out onto this miserable slope that holds up this existing parking lot, goes down the slope, meets up with the drainage coming from the other side of the hospital, right about here, and flows into Indian Meadow Brook. We're going to capture that runoff with new catch basins up on the top, run it through the parking garage and piping, come out the bottom, and run it all the way along the south side of the building, and join it up with the drainage from the hospital roofs. And it's all going to come out and go down here. At the last plans I showed you had a riprap slope here. Oops, I'm sorry. Did I go backwards or forwards? Okay. We had a riprap channel right here, and we changed that to a pipe in response to some comments that we got from this commission the last time. And we added drop manholes, which I'll show you later, which was a comment, I believe, that came from Commissioner Oliveri, who's not here tonight, to dissipate energy on the way down the pipe. Because we're diverting runoff from the north or the western side of the hospital all the way back over here, we're actually going to be increasing the flow rate to this point. And so we've added stormwater detention right here at the site of an old tennis court. That is basically a large dry basin that when it rains hard, like we've been having recently, that will fill up with water and drain out slowly through a controlled orifice at the northwestern end of this pond and leave through a pipe and to a riprap apron here. Then it will be allowed to drain down to Indian Meadow Brook right here. So the detention basin that we've designed accomplishes two objectives. One, it deals with the fact that we're diverting a lot of water over to the eastern side of the hospital, and whatever we discharge here is no greater than what goes out there now from this site because of the detention basin. And number two, it mitigates the increases in impervious surface that we create by building the parking lot and this southerly driveway here. So these two new areas are going to be built on top of ground that's not covered with impervious surface now. We're adding impervious surface, therefore we're increasing runoff, and the detention basin will capture all that, store it temporarily, let it out slowly, so that the peak rates of runoff experienced at the property line down near Indian Meadow Brook are less than. Actually, we got it to be less than they are right now. So the drainage, we believe, has been handled properly. This is just, yes, sir.
Before you move forward, is there a maintenance schedule for those catch basins and drainage?
There is not one currently, but we would certainly be willing to add. That's, the detention basin and the whole stormwater system is still in a little bit of a state of flux because of the comments that the town had about this. One thing I didn't show yet is a roadway that we're going to build a driveway so that vehicles can get down and maintain this detention basin. And I want to review that with the Planning and Zoning Commission, make sure they're happy with it. If they want us to move it or tweak it or something, that might move my drainage around, so I want to talk to them about it at the public hearing. Once they're happy with it, I'll finalize the plan and we will add a maintenance schedule for the basin, the driveway, and the stormwater system.
This is a gravel driveway, probably?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The driveway is steep in places, and we're going to introduce a swale on the uphill side of it in this area to capture the runoff that falls between our new service road and this driveway. It's not a huge watershed, it's only this area here, but it's nonetheless, you don't want that water washing across the driveway and trying to continue to go downhill. So the swale will catch that runoff and run it around and down into this basin. is just a blow-up of the main site work at the hospital. The parking garage is up here. The driveway and retaining wall are down here. And, you know, some of the parking lot striping and whatnot shows up a little bit better. But the real thrust of the site work, as I said, is this driveway and this parking garage with new sidewalks and parking and landscaping up in this area here. We have some details of the retaining wall and the service driveway along the south side. That's not really a wetlands issue. Here's a little bit better view of the detention basin and the service driveway, showing all the grades and the swale along the side of it. This is a profile of the storm sewer leading from, I'll go back up one notch. We have a storm sewer that starts right here near the loading dock and runs down through the woods to the detention basin. So this profile that I'm showing you, oops, going the wrong way. Right here is the profile of that pipe. This is an exploded scale. The vertical scale is 10 times the scale of the horizontal, so it looks way more steeper. It's expanded like a funhouse mirror almost, which is a method that engineers use. And I wanted to show you this because we introduced several drop manholes along the path, as was requested by Commissioner Oliveri at the last meeting. We have a very, very detailed soil erosion and sediment control plan prepared for this site. If you remember me telling you at the last meeting, we acknowledge this is a difficult site. You know, there's a fair amount of surface disturbance being created on steep slopes, and it's very important that whoever gets selected to build this project is diligent about erosion control. So we developed this comprehensive plan to make sure that the contractor has explicit instructions on how to perform with respect to erosion control. Obviously, there's a wall of words there. The primary component of this is the construction sequence, which is in the lower left-hand corner of the drawing. And I won't go through all that, except to say that we're going to build this thing from the bottom up. We're going to start down at the detention basin and build that, and work uphill so that all the construction work and the finished site has a place to go into when the site work is finished. There's a lot of construction details here. We have one feature I haven't talked about yet is a temporary sediment basin, which this is just a detail of telling the contractor how to build it. This was designed in accordance with the soil erosion and sediment control manual requirements for temporary sediment traps. I'll show you a plan of that. We have some lighting and curbing and sidewalk details which are not relevant to wetlands. We have detention basin construction details. This is the outlet orifice, outlet structure. This is a cross-section through the basin showing how it will be constructed, and some details on riprap, outlet aprons, and whatnot. Some signs. We're going to maintain the existing signs at the site. We're just going to change the images on the signs, and those are issues we're working out with planning and zoning. There's a lighting photometric plan showing how our new lighting will be adequate for security and safety reasons after we're done. These are primarily down lighting. They're on poles and they shine straight down. They're not exposed glass bulbs with lights. We have a detailed landscaping plan put together that the architects assembled. Primarily the landscaping will be in the upper parking area. This right here is the the roof, outdoor roof deck that I told you about. It's like a little park that's going to be on top of the event center. And then planning and zoning, one of the members in planning and zoning asked us to screen this existing parking lot right here with vegetation because he was concerned, perhaps rightly so, that cars coming down this driveway, their headlights will shine right across the street. So we put in a whole row of vegetation along the landscape there. And then dumpster enclosure detail, which is gonna be up near the loading dock. So, Rob, I wanna go to.
110, no, 109.
Okay. So, I spent a lot of time on this at our last meeting. This is a temporary excavation plan that we put together as part of the plan set. And all of these purple lines here are footings that are required for a retaining wall for our south service driveway, entrance into the lower parking garage. And the parking garage itself, these purple squares down here are footings for big columns that will hold up the parking garage. And there's some strip footings up in here, showing the concrete outline that is required. And I took the structural drawings for the parking garage, calculated the footing elevations, then drew this grading plan to show what this site is gonna look like during construction. It's obviously on a steep slope. There are steep grades within the excavation, and this is gonna be open for a fair amount of time, weeks or a month maybe, as the contractor builds footings, columns, retaining walls, etc. So the site is going to be exposed to erosion for a significant period of time, long enough that I felt it would be warranted to have a temporary sediment basin, which is right here. So we designed the site grading to drain down all of this except for this little piece here, which is too low in elevation. 90% of everything that's going to be excavated and exposed for a long period of time, the runoff that comes out of that site will end up in this temporary sediment basin that will be removed after construction. But it's basically a bathtub that we're going to cut into a little plateau that allows for sediment-laden stormwater to settle out. The size of this basin was, as I mentioned, designed in accordance with the Soil Erosion and Sediment Control Manual. And as I also mentioned, this will be removed when we're done. And the site will be put back together with the new parking garage. That is a quick tour of the plans. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission has or the general public.
Before we ask Rob, anything to add?
No?
Okay. Any concerns, Gary?
How does your temporary sedimentation pond correlate with your road that's coming in to get down to your?
That's gonna have to, the road is gonna cut right through here.
Right, so you're not working your way out right off the bat, you're gonna build your bottom sediment, your bottom outfall,
Yeah.
build up, but then you're primarily done.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, certainly the temporary access road can come all the way into here, and it might have to sneak around the bottom of this thing so they can get to the bottom and build the detention basin, which is right here. But the permanent access road is gonna hook around
Right through
like
it.
this and kind of go through that same
Yeah.
spot. I should add one comment here, and I mentioned this at the last meeting, but I'll mention it again for the public. I designed this temporary excavation plan under the assumption that we would not hit any bedrock, which to me is a worst-case scenario. The more soil you have and less bedrock, the bigger problems you have containing that erosion. So I designed it for the worst-case scenario. I'm very confident that they're gonna hit bedrock when they start digging. I can see, well, all you need to do is drive up to the Susan Terry site, which is right here, and go around the back to these parking spaces, and this is a pretty steep
Big
and
pile.
tall rock cliff that they had to blast out to build this. And right here on our site plan, there's exposed bedrock. So my knowledge, working knowledge of this hillside from this project and others, and from what I can see, I'm pretty sure we're gonna hit bedrock. If we do, the bad news is it's gonna cost more to build the project because there's gonna be blasting or rock removal involved instead of dirt removal. But the good news is it'll be easier to contain erosion on the site if it's predominantly rock.
All right.
Yeah, no, my only comment is I think it's really great that you're putting in the access road to the detention basin, because I see a lot of those detention basins that are just a mess, and they've been overgrown, and they sort of work, but they're not maintained at all and just forgotten about, and eventually problems arise with them. So I think that's a very good addition to the project.
Jeff, anything?
That looks great. I mean, it's more than I
Yeah, it's
understand.
above our pay
so,
scale.
well, yeah, it's very impressive.
Jackie, anything?
It's great.
Anybody?
I'm good.
All right, barring there's no further comments from the commission, before I turn it over to the public, if there are any comments from them, Jeff, to you, how do we monitor this project? You know, this is gonna be a 2-year, 3-year project. You know, you can't be running up there every week or so to see the progress, so we're gonna have to build in some kind of a monitoring mechanism.
Perhaps we can do something similar to what we did at 212 West Wakefield with the.
Weekly reports, are you open to providing reports on a regular basis to the office, to the town, in terms of the progress and what you encounter one way or the other?
Well, I think it's a good idea. Either we could do it as representatives of the
Or our
project,
or our
a third
engineer?
party. I know when, and I'll just give you a very short story, when they built the windmills up at
Norfolk?
Norfolk or Colebrook, the siting council required a third-party review engineer to
So that-
inspect the site. I forget what the frequency was, but it was either weekly or bi-weekly, and after every half inch of rainfall. If there was a half inch of rainfall within 24-hour period, we had to go and inspect all the erosion controls. So something, a condition of approval would be, I think, in order here for something like that, given this project. And it wouldn't be for 2 or 3 years. It would be, a lot of that 2 or 3 year period is the actual renovation time inside the building. You know, this site work might be a year long and come in dribs and drabs. You know, they get a piece of it done, and then winter comes and they stop. Nothing happens until spring. I would think a condition of approval that there be, and you don't even have to say it's Haley Ward or a third party. You could just say the inspection has to be done by a licensed professional engineer.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that up.
Whatever time period you want.
And that engineer would generate reports to the town, okay? It's premature at this point to think about bonds, but, bonding money, but keep that in mind when we move for approval at the close of the public hearing. And I indicated the conditions of approval from our attorney, which you've agreed to, requesting a 30-day review period, and I guess part of that condition of approval would be the monitoring aspect of it also on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Okay?
I might add a condition if you're willing to consider it. This plan, you know, the architect's plans are only partway done. They're probably about 50% done with their design. And things may tweak before they're ready to put this out to bid. I believe the overall program is set. What you're seeing here is pretty much what you're gonna get, but there might be tweaks or adjustments as they proceed, which then in turn might require me to do something. And I'll just give you an example. let's say the fire protection designer says the water main coming in from the street to the building is too small, we need to put a new one in. That has to be added to the plan. That's way after the approval process. So, one condition that I would suggest, and I think it would be helpful to the town, is that the final contract documents, at least the plans, be submitted to the town for the record and reviewed with the staff to, for consistency with the original approval and the potential need for an amendment. If the change is big enough, we'd have to come back and amend the plan. So I'm throwing that out there. I think it would be a good idea to have in there.
So what you're saying is any deviation from what we approve has to come back to the town for a modification?
Yeah, if it's big enough. I mean, it could be de minimis changes that are so small that it's not.
Yeah.
But there might be something significant enough where the
Then it
staff
would be
says,
at the discretion of our engineer
right, we better go back to the commission and ask for
and
an
ask for
amendment to the
approval, for
approval.
a modification.
But that would be on a building side, right? That would be something to do with the building department,
Well, if the
unless it
building-
was
if the building
drainage related,
changes
correct?
Drive a site change.
Yeah, the
then
drives, yeah, I
The plans that I'm
got you.
presenting to you tonight might change somewhat.
Would really be limited to something that has to do with drainage, correct? As far as coming before this commission,
Well, we're here tonight for an erosion control plan
Right.
approval only.
or erosion, yes.
So if something comes up and that's, we're disturbing maybe an acre here, I forget what the total.
It was just a 0.8.
Yeah, well, that was just the watershed.
temporary.
Let's say we've got, an acre and a half of total disturbance here. And some change comes up, a code review says you need to double the size of your stair tower. And that forces us to move parking spaces, which then in turn forces to hang them out over the edge of the, this area right up here. We already added one right here this week. If we had to add two more because another stair tower had to be enlarged because of a code review, that changes the plan somewhat. That might be a small change that doesn't have to come back to the commission. But if there's anything larger, then I would think it would be a good idea to have at least a staff review for consistency of the final construction drawings with the approval. And then a decision is made at that time whether or not amendment needs to be sought.
Modification.
Yeah, modification.
Okay.
That's just an idea.
I appreciate your input, thank you. Any other concerns on the part of the commission? All right, hearing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to talk to this application or at this public hearing? Okay, Jeff, from a formal point of view, do we close the public hearing, or does the public hearing remain open until our engineer report comes back to us?
I think you'd have to close it to be able to act on it,
Okay,
so.
okay. All right, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close public hearing IWWC 23-19.
Okay, is there a second? All those in favor? All right, it becomes unanimous. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Okay. Where are we?
Jen,
You're right back
Jen.
All right, under old business, the first order of old business is application 23-2-1. The owner applicant is Maureen Pisano at 148 East Wakefield Boulevard. As a result of the public hearing, she asked for a continuance. So, is there a motion to continue this application until the next regularly scheduled meeting?
I'll make a motion to
Okay,
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
23-2-1.
I'll make a motion to continue IWWC 23-2-1 to our next scheduled meeting.
Okay, and this was done at the request of the applicant?
Yes.
Is there a second? Jeff, all those in favor of accepting? All right, this is continued. sorry, Jackie, what? All right, item B under old business, 23-11, Arthur Harwood and Associates on behalf of the property owners Hefner and Sultan at 211 West Wakefield Boulevard. Jeff, there was something sent to the office on this?
Yeah, so this was also requested an extension, as we spoke about with the public hearing portion. So it would be appropriate to continue this as well.
Okay, is there a motion to continue at the request of the applicant?
You'll make a motion to continue IWWC 23-11-1 per the request of the applicant to our next scheduled meeting.
Is there a second? Gary, all those in favor? All right, it's unanimous. The next application under old business is 23-12. The applicant is Edmund Finn at 52 Strong Terrace. As a result of the public hearing, the applicant has withdrawn his application. So is there a motion to that effect?
Make a motion to withdraw per IWWC 23-12-1 per the owner's requesting of closing of the application.
Just one modification to that request, that the cease and desist order remain in place.
Yes.
Okay? Is there a second?
Second.
Jackie, all those in favor? All right, it becomes unanimous. The next order of business under old business is 23-14, Richard Knight at 229 West Wakefield Boulevard. Replace and relocate walkway, dock, and boat lift.
Steve, I think you skipped item D.
What did I skip?
D, the health center.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Mr. Knight. 23-11, thank you. David Batista, Haley Ward, regarding the application at 115 Spencer Street, the Winstead Health Center. We closed the public hearing on it, and we read language that was suggested by our town attorney to the applicant, and they accepted that language with the change of a 30-day review rather than a 15-day review by our engineer. We talked about monitoring and providing reports. We spoke about a bond, and we spoke about the conditions of approval, which must be accepted by the applicant or the approval is withdrawn. Before we get into a motion, is there any concept about in terms of a bond?
And that's just for erosion control.
Just for our inland wetlands.
It's a fairly large project, right? I mean, it's quite a large project.
Very large project.
Huge.
Yeah, huge, all right. I think, I'm trying to remember in the past, what we've pegged this to in the past. I mean, we've mostly done them on smaller jobs at the lake, right? So as far as, I'm a little unsure of, you may understand the scope of these better from your
The only
business
thing-
experience.
The scope of it is just how intense it is on a side hill. The erosion control pit that they're gonna put in, as a temporary pit. I
Sure.
think you gotta be, hate to say it, but I would say maybe $8,000 to $10,000 on it.
I was thinking higher than that,
Yeah,
but
I was
I don't know
gonna
what
say,
yours
well-
costs. You know better than I do, Gary, what
Yeah,
this
no,
stuff
no.
costs. I mean, what could go bad?
Huh?
I mean, we'd have to replace silt fence.
We're
or
gonna have,
what?
we're gonna have people monitor it, we're gonna be,
Well, the monitoring and the cost of the engineers and all of that has nothing to do with the bond.
correct,
Should they, unless they refuse to pay the fee.
right. Well, you're gonna get into where you're gonna go a year or whatever, having somebody out there every other week or every week. In the beginning, you're gonna be out every week, I would believe. You'd have to have somebody.
To the applicant, all the financial, your cost, who's paying for you guys? let's, you know, if we had an answer to that, then we'll know where the bonding could go.
To answer your question, ultimately, the Winston Health Center is paying our bill. I'm
Okay,
looking for the
so
architect.
it's got nothing to do with the approval,
Right, but can I even talk now that the hearing's closed?
if you want to. Go ahead.
Well, I wanna help you,
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
but I don't wanna create a defect in the approval by talking with you after the public hearing's closed.
Well, I think we're at the
Talk to
vote of
staff.
voting,
You can talk to your staff, and you
and,
can talk to your staff in the hall.
15? You good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. That's,
Better?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's,
Yeah,
We
it's
gotta,
it's
you know,
more,
I mean, if something goes wrong, it could be significant.
yeah.
If nothing goes wrong, then
If
it's
it's
just
nothing, then
putting the
it
money there.
doesn't matter. So, the bond would pay for us, or us to hire somebody to go in and fix what they didn't fix.
correct.
Are we worried about them not fixing it themselves?
There's where I'm going. I've never been on a job that we haven't fixed anything that's gone wrong,
So,
you know.
I mean, if it goes real bad, then it could be hundreds, 100,000, but they're gonna have to, they're not gonna give up the project
No, they're
because,
not giving us a shit.
right, so, 15?
15's fine with
Okay.
me, that's more than that.
All right, so when we vote, then the condition of, one of the conditions would be a $15,000 bond. All right, let's be careful with the language of this motion, only because of all of the technicalities involved and the stipulations involved.
It's got
Is
your
there anybody
name
that,
would you
Got
be
your
willing to
name.
make this motion? I
Would
think
I be
you're
willing
the
to
close,
make
well,
sure?
you're the closest to, it. I think you have the language, a little more concise and maybe myself muddling through that.
interrupt me if there's something that in the motion, before it gets to the motion state, you know, that should be addressed right away, and we'll change it right away if necessary. I'd like to make a motion to conditionally approve application 23-19. The applicant is David Batista, Haley Ward, in conjunction with Paul Sinow and Shadler Sinow Associates, PC. The location is the 115 Spencer Street, which is the Winstead Health Center. And the proposal is the redevelopment of the Winchester Health Center for housing and artisan-making space. So I'd like to make a motion to conditionally approve this application, using the language that was introduced during the public hearing, which I will read into the record again, because it's part of the motion, that the approval is conditioned on the filing of a report from an engineer chosen by the commission, which report shall address all questions and concerns of the commission. Any recommendations of the engineer must be accepted by the applicant and incorporated into the approval. Should the applicant fail to accept all recommendations within a 30 days of receipt of the report, this permit shall be null and void. It shall be out in the commissioner's sole discretion to choose the engineer and accept all or some of the engineering conditions and add other conditions as it deems appropriate. I'd also like to indicate that one of the conditions would be an ongoing monitoring of the wetlands approval application, and the monitor to generate regular reports based on rainfall and other conditions that might affect the progress or the detriment of the work to be conducted. And that the applicant provide a $15,000 bond before any work is to begin. Is there a second? Did I leave anything out?
Just the suggestion of Dave that should any feel that it's be necessary to
Oh, right.
rise to the level, that they would come back for modification.
Right, and if
it
the
would be by
engineer's
staff.
report deems necessary for modification in the future, that the applicant come back and ask for that modification to continue approval. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Jackie? We have the bond, we've addressed monitoring. Is there anything else I can think of? Okay, all standard conditions 1 to 12 are automatically incorporated into the approval. Is there a vote? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Good luck with the project, gentlemen. Thank you for your patience with us, and I think you realize that we extended ourselves for you, so, let's hope it works. And it should be good for the town if it comes to fruition. Okay,
Who seconded that motion, just for?
I did.
Jackie?
Thank you.
Okay, the next application under old business is 23-14. The applicant is Richard Knight, 229 West Wakefield Boulevard, to replace and relocate walkway, dock, and boat lift. Mr. Knight, please introduce yourself.
I'm Richard Knight. My wife and I own the property at 229 West Wakefield Boulevard. We accepted my application for a dock and a boat lift last month, and there was no public hearing required, so I'm here to answer any questions or concerns you have on this application.
Okay, in visiting your site and looking at, and walking the site, what's the length of your waterfront from left to right on the lake?
70 feet.
How much?
70.
70 feet. And I'm trying to look through your application. I didn't see anything which tells me where exactly you want to place the dock and the boat lift.
It's pretty much where it is now. But
Okay.
there's some rocks down there, and so when he goes to place the dock, he may have to move it, a little bit in order to make it work.
Okay. Now, when you say pretty much where it is, right now, the boat lift is perpendicular or to the dock, but parallel to land.
No, it's perpendicular to the land. It would go out next to the walkway.
And the walkway goes this way, the boat lift goes this way.
Walkway goes out into the water, the lift would be next to it, and then there would be a dock across the front. I have pictures.
So when you said it's pretty much to where it is now, so the boat lift is gonna be moved somewhere else?
There's no boat lift there now.
There's no lift there.
This is adding the boat lift. And I had pictures in there of the layout of the,
Am I looking at something wrong?
When you go to his property, you walk out the dock, his boat is going parallel.
Yeah,
But
right,
that's not
all
what-
right, there's no boat lift there now, but there's the boat, okay,
That's not.
Right, thank you.
That's not what it's going to be.
right,
That-
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, you got that?
right.
And then it's, did you get this one too, Steve?
Now, your property, there's to the right and left of you, or maybe part of your property, there seems to be two little inlets.
those are essentially, used to be boat launches. In fact, my neighbor uses his as a boat launch now. Mine is, just got sand on it.
Yours is to the right looking at it from the road,
That's correct,
okay, and your neighbor's is to the left?
yes.
And he's tying a boat out into that. Who owns that little right-of-way or
The
easement?
property line goes right down the middle of what he's using as a boat launch right now.
So you own half of that little setback and he owns it?
That's my understanding based on the survey I have.
Okay. All right, so looking at the water, you want to put the boat lift to the right of your dock or to the left of your dock?
Left of the dock.
To the left of your dock. And how far, forget you own half of that little that boat launch?
I did forget that when I was looking at it.
Okay.
I just ignored that.
Okay,
I
so
was
you-
working from the,
From the concrete wall?
retaining wall.
Right,
And making sure that I had the proper distances based on
okay.
that.
So your proper distance is gonna be, exceed 10 foot from that wall?
Right.
Okay. Is there anything that we have that shows that 10-foot placement?
I don't believe I marked that one.
It's on there, right there.
Oh, I did mark it on there?
Yeah, it's on there.
Mark,
It's been a while.
no, we do have it.
10 feet,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't include the, half of the other,
I see it, okay.
doesn't
And
include
the other,
half of his
the other half
area.
of that,
So that's just bonus.
okay. Okay, I don't see anything else that I have a concern about. Anybody?
No,
Anybody?
follows all the rules.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
I can do this one.
That,
Yeah, I'll do this. I make a motion to approve IWWC 23-14-1, installation of a dock and boat lift, according to the map provided by the homeowner.
I'll second it.
second, all those in favor of approval? Okay, sir, thank you very much. When do you intend to put the boat lift in the water?
Next spring.
Okay, just let Jeff know ahead of time, so that he can sort of see that you put it in the right place, and you don't violate anything.
Can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck. 23-13, under old business is Nancy Frank, and the representative is Rod Carabello. The address is 209 Perch Rock Trail, and the applicant is asking for miscellaneous site approvals. Rob, can you be specific in terms of the miscellaneous?
Sure, we presented last month. For the record, my name is Robert Colville, Senior Project Engineer with Haley Ward. That's existing conditions. So, when I was before the commission last month, and we laid out the project, and this is on Perch Rock Trail where where the town has, sewage pump station down in the corner, of this property. And that blue long line you see there is drainage well that comes off of.
You got it, you have an arrow?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Thank you.
That long blue, this is the drainage swell that comes off of East Wakefield, carries stormwater. It only has water in it when it rains. When it's not raining, there's no water. So, her plan, as discussed last month, was to put two little overhangs over the garage door and the entrance to the building. They're getting rid of this retaining wall over here, and getting rid of it, we're just sloping it back, adding this portion of the deck on the front, stairs, walkways, permeable pavers. There were rain garden back here that addresses the first inch of rainfall. And the work that she wants to do here is to clean the debris out of here. I don't know if anybody's been to the site, but right about here where this drain is, previous owners left a pile of logs that are half hanging down into this drainage swale. On this side, neighbors have, it's not really trash, but there's stuff back there that's also starting to migrate its way in there. And she just wants to go into it and hand pick, no equipment, anything, just clean that out by herself. And
Does this applicant own the property on the off side of the brook, or whatever you wanna call it? Yeah, that side.
she owns this.
She owns that.
So here's the property line right here.
Okay, all right.
Right here, this big square. It's an actually 100 by 100 perfect square. It's a 10,000 square foot lot. The other thing they wanna do, if you see these existing contours here, they force the water up against the back of the house. And it's kind of a problem because nobody wants water coming to the house. It's really very graded, so it's going away. So we've managed to mess with the grades a little bit around this end and get the water so it will go away from the house and away from here. We built a berm around this so that the runoff from the yard still goes to where it was always going, which was over here in this intermittent water course. And to keep it out of the rain garden, because the rain garden is basically just to remediate the water coming off of the roof. It's not supposed to be inundated with drainage water from other sources. So there's a berm around it, and so the roof leaders will dump into here, and that's been sized appropriately for the 1 inch of rainfall for the roof. And the only other thing that she's looking to do that actually is this is the watercourse, by the way, that the reason we're here, because she's obviously we're not within 100 feet of the lake, but she is within 100 feet of this. And we don't really know what's going on above this in the watercourse. There's houses, it's fully developed. This watercourse cuts through 3 properties, and it's all fully developed over here. And she's the only one, I think, from what I could see from being out at the site, that is, kind of looking to clean things up. But I'm not saying these neighbors don't do their due diligence, they probably do. We just haven't had access to the property, and we're not just gonna start walking on people's property just to see how they're handling what's going on in this little drainage swell. It goes underground here and joins into the system. As you can see, this low spot in Perch Rock Trail, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 catch basins out there in the road. Those will be fully protected during construction with silt sacks. Make sure everything's caught before anything can make its way into the system. That's basically her plan. She's really not, there's no additions going on to the house other than a dormer that's going just vertical, this deck out front. She's screening in a portion of an existing deck, and we went to ZBA last month and received 2 approvals, a variance and a special exception.
Rob, where is the town sewer maintenance facility?
You mean their pump station?
Yeah, the pump station.
Right here, these 3, here's their generator, which is on her property.
Right.
And here's the pump station right here, which was actually designed by us, when we were Leonard Engineering. And this generator here has a pit under it with a day tank. I don't know if anybody's familiar with generators and what a day tank is, but the day tank is fuel that is needed to run the generator should we lose power. Now, if you lose power, you obviously need that pump station to keep working, because people are gonna need to use their toilets. So that's why that generator is there. It's not gonna move, it's a town-owned generator, and they have an easement on the property.
And nothing you're proposing interferes with that generator?
Absolutely. Actually, we're not doing any work on that side we're not doing any work in this whole area right through here, right up to almost the silt fence. We're doing a little bit of grading down here, and I'm talking, that's inches by the time you get down here of work and scratching the surface. So there isn't any major cuts or fills on the entire site. Most is a foot. So there really isn't a lot of earthwork being, all of this addition of the deck is gonna be sonotube. So it's just gonna be small excavated holes. We've, fully encompassed the property with erosion control. And it's a fishbowl. You can drive by there and see it at any time, so it's not like nothing could be in, there's no way that during construction, anything could be not seen, so.
Yeah, one of the concerns we had last month, or I had last month, was that, the pitching of the water away from the house, how it would impact on the neighbors, but clearly, the brook would intercept anything.
Absolutely does, right
That-
now.
that
Not
the
only
neigh-
that, the rest of it, if you look at these contours, the way this hand is moving is the flow of the water. It'll get to here and make its way to here.
Yeah.
Before it ever reaches the mouth of the driveway, 90% of the water makes its way here. So, and now the roof drains, which actually just drain out this way right now, are gonna be now collected and head out for the rain garden, get cleaned in the rain garden, dump out the spillway, and head right
To the brook
to
again.
drainage. So we're actually making the conditions better on this thing.
Yeah, I saw what you saw today, I was there, so. Anybody, any concerns?
No, it's just simple.
I looked at
I
the
think it's
site.
over-engineered.
What's that?
I think it's over-engineered.
It's over-engineered. All right, is there a motion?
Gotta abide by the regs.
Is there a motion, Jeff?
Sure. This is Nancy Frank. I make a motion to approve IWWC 23-13-1 Nancy Frank, 209 Perch Rock Trail with miscellaneous site improvements based on the site plan presented.
Do we need a bond?
I don't think so.
No.
No, okay. Any other conditions? All right, second? Gary, all those in favor of approval?
Thank you very much.
Wait a minute, we didn't vote yet. Russ?
Sorry.
It's unanimous. All right, good night.
Thought I saw a bunch of hands.
Okay, application 23-16-1. The applicant is Kristen Prusi at 215 West Wakefield Boulevard. Permitted 2 existing docks, 1 boat lift, and a mooring buoy. Jeff, you received correspondence from them?
Yeah, Kristen was not able to attend tonight. She did send us an email requesting a continuance or extension if necessary, if you need to speak with her for any other questions. If you recall, we covered a lot of ground on this application last month. She had a prior application that sort of coincided with this. So it's up to you if you'd like to extend it and have her come before you, or if you want to try to act this evening.
Any feeling on the part of the commissioner?
I feel we can act on it. I mean, they're willing to take that one boat lift out that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, is this the one that had 2 boat lifts?
Yeah.
And they gotta reduce
Take
it
it
down?
out and move it.
That was a little complicated. There was some stuff in
Well,
there.
he agreed to,
take
the
the-
boat lift would not go back in the water
Right.
in the spring. The season was over, you know, as far as we were concerned, and he agreed to that. The only concern I have is that, there's a dock that runs literally between, or right on the property line that they own both sides of the property. In other words, they own 213 West Wakefield and they own 215. And if you walk treacherously down their steps, there's a dock right on that littoral boundary issue.
Why don't we get them back in? So we can
What's
question
that?
them? Why don't we get them back in so we can question them?
All right, that would be the only hesitant, I would say, of not voting. Let them know that that's our concern. And,
And do we have time for it?
I think so.
Well, this is the request for extension
Okay.
if necessary,
Yeah.
so that will make it so, yeah.
And just for everybody's, knowledge, the house is for sale.
Yeah, I
I
noticed that.
saw that today.
Yeah.
So just, okay, so we'll continue to the next meeting at the request. All those in favor? That becomes unanimous. Hang on now.
Made and seconded then?
I did.
He made it, I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, new business. I'm sorry, what?
How come nobody filled out the applications yet?
They're using these computerized applications now.
Nobody's not filled out.
What?
It's enough filled out. And the other one wasn't.
I'll talk to Jeff about it. Well, some of the information she's got on the agenda. All right, next application under new business is 23-18. I apologize for the pronunciation of the first applicant. Gunjan Prakash and Daniel Rosa at 149 East Lake Street, and it's miscellaneous site improvements.
Here you go.
Okay, for the record, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Ronald Colville. I'm here with my colleague David Batista. We're here representing the applicants who are John Prakash and Daniel Razor. They are looking to add to they're putting an addition on the house up at 149 East Lake Street. It entails adding is it third story? Yeah, it's a third story. It's a second story. They have a walkout and they're adding a second story, but only on a portion of the building. They're putting an addition on the back half of the house and extending the deck out. And that's the kind of the extent of the majority of the work that's being done there.
I will show you the plans. This is David Batista speaking. On behalf of the applicants, the site is at 149 East Lake Street, as Rob mentioned, which is pretty close to the Superior Street intersection, a little bit east of that, shown on our location map right here on the northern end of the lake. The property was surveyed by John Vaquera. There's an existing house on the lot, which is existing non-conforming with respect to zoning. There's a wraparound deck around three sides of the house. And there's a big open backyard, all grass, concrete retaining wall with concrete steps going into the lake, concrete retaining wall along the frontage of the lake. So Highland Lake's on the left, East Lake Street is way up here somewhere. It's one of these driveways that goes down hill from East Lake Street and accesses several houses. Our clients have an easement over this driveway to get in and out of their site. Tonight, we're here to request approval of regulated activity. Virtually everything we're doing on this project is regulated because it's within 100 feet of the lake. And we're also asking for approval of the project's soil erosion and sediment control plan. This is another view of the existing condition. So the retaining wall for the lake is right here. Everything else is out, this is all Highland Lake over on the left. This tan area here is the existing house. There's a storage shed right next to it. The brick color is the wraparound deck, and there are two stairways, one on this side and one right here. Underneath the deck, this is, as Rod mentioned, this is a walkout basement. So this elevation on the lake side is 1 story below the front entrance to the house here. The house is 1 story on this side and 1 story plus a basement walkout on this side. And right at the end of the walkout, there's a concrete patio right here that's gonna be removed.
That's gonna be what?
Removed. So that is the existing condition. The proposed condition is on this plan. The green area right here is the proposed addition. So they're bumping the house out toward the lake. Is it 16 feet, Rob? It's definitely 16. Yeah. Can't. It's one of the problems. Yeah. And the wraparound deck will move toward the lake with it, and will infill the deck from here and here. So everything moves closer to the lake, plan, the 16-foot addition and deck. That used to be where the addition is now moving closer to the lake.
The deck is still elevated?
Yes, the deck is even with the first floor of the house, so it will be 1 story high.
And what would be under the deck?
Okay, under the concrete patio that I just mentioned is gonna be gone. Currently, I'm gonna go back to the existing condition. condition. There's, two storage sheds underneath the deck right now, and an outdoor shower over here. So there's 3 items underneath that deck right now. Those will remain, in the proposed plan. So, there's one, where is it at? Are they right here?
Those are the 2 sheds.
There's
right
2
there.
sheds right here that will remain underneath the deck. And the outdoor shower, which is now right here where my hand is gonna be moved to, can't see. You have the plans with you? Just so you can look real quick. So we're not changing the footprint of those, we're just moving the shower. And that will be underneath the deck.
And the water that's used in showering, where does that go?
That is, just a drain to the outside, right?
Yes.
It drains to the lawn. Currently, everything drains out to this corner of the site where there's a little divot and a retaining wall and some riprap out of the protection. Right?
So it drains towards the lake?
Yes, yes, as it does now.
And that would be gray water?
Yes, yeah, just if you go out in the lake, you take a swim, you come back and you shower off and move on. We have introduced 2 rain gardens here in blue. They are sized to take all the runoff from the roof of this project. And 1 inch of runoff from the roof, which is a rain garden design. Those will be planted. We have details of the rain gardens. And we have a comprehensive soil erosion and sediment control plan. Basically, we're gonna put silt fence all the way across the property and surround the work. We have provisions for stockpile areas, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. So when they dig the cellar hole for this addition, the soil usually gets cast right next to the excavation hole. So we've got 3 stockpiles here, and then the topsoil for whatever else will be moved out of the way will be over here. We have a construction entrance, which is temporary here, so equipment can come down the driveway. This is all paved right now, and this is all grass right now, so we're gonna put a construction entrance in here. There's already a construction entrance of sorts here, a big gravel area that's used to park boats and whatnot. That will be shortened under the proposed condition, but we're gonna leave it full length, which goes back to about here. From this point to this point, it's like crushed stone. We're gonna use that as a, yeah. So we have a detailed erosion control plan for this. We worked out all the zoning bugs, which is not your issue, with the land use staff over the period of almost a year, going back and forth with 3 different additions of staff members, starting with Mike Stankoff, then Lance, and then Jeff. So we have the zoning issues squared away, and the project is now under consideration by ZBA. So there's a special permit required for this addition, and the application is pending.
So they have a public hearing, I believe, scheduled for that,
Yes.
CBA?
Yes. We started the public hearing, and they continued it to next month, because they were not sure if they needed a report from Wetlands Commission before they render a decision. So, we did some legal research, and I got them some information from what's legally required. They went to Kevin Nelligan with that, and he came back and said, no, ZBA does not need to wait, like planning board does, for a report.
Should also be noted that the applicants do not propose any work at the lakes yet.
I was gonna ask
They're
that.
not gonna fix the wall, there's no work going on.
No docks, no boat lifts, no
Nothing.
retaining wall work.
Actually, that concrete wall is in really good condition.
Is there any way with the outdoor shower to tie it into this, sewer system in the house? Or put some kind of a 55-gallon drum to contain the water and, something better than letting it run off. The way you explain it, it's gonna run off toward the lake.
Yeah.
And chances are it's gonna be soapy water.
Somebody could take shampoo in there.
Yeah, so,
Well, my short answer is, yes, there's a way.
okay.
I don't sewer, grinder pump, which is up in this area right
Yeah, it's like, it's not very.
Yeah, but if you're putting an extension on the house itself, I don't know what you're gonna put inside that extension, but there may be a bathroom, or there may be a sink, a kitchen, or whatever. You know, it's not gonna be an open room like this.
I would suggest that you make that a condition of approval.
Well, I would suggest that you come back to us with an answer next month before we vote.
Okay.
No, I had a question, the sump pump discharge area, that's during a construction phase, or is that basement's gonna have a full-time sump pump?
Which,
Up in they're right there, yeah,
that
that's
is a temporary, sediment basin that we will build,
for construction,
for construction.
Right.
Dewatering of the foundation hole.
if
uh,
necessary.
If necessary.
Okay.
We just thought there might be, considering, you know, this is a.
Yeah, no, I understand. I
Just
thought it was
kinda
maybe
thinking
something that was
and we're
permanent
that
and there
close
was
to the
another.
lake, we might encounter water, so we thought we need a place to pump it. And like every time we do this around the lake, we always provide a settling basin, so all the sediment has a place to settle out before the water moves on.
In terms of impervious surfaces, what's changing?
We thought that you might ask, so we prepared this thing. The view on the left is the existing condition, the view on the right is the proposed condition. The site is way over the maximums allowed by zoning. I think it's somewhere in the magnitude of 32% impervious.
29.8 and 29.7.
Yeah, so we balanced the impervious coverage so that there would be no more impervious coverage in the proposed condition than there is in the existing condition. So how did we do that if we're building a bridge? Under the existing condition, we have a concrete patio here, and we have this gravel pad here, which is considered impervious surface by your zoning regulators, our zoning regulations in town. The way it's worded and the interpretations we got from the land use staff is that any gravel surface that's traversable by vehicles, they consider impervious, because it eventually gets packed down and consolidated, and fine material comes up into the pores. So this green here is impervious. This tan concrete patio is impervious. Obviously, the house is. The blue shower stall is impervious. The 3 sheds underneath, or the 2 sheds underneath the deck, and this additional storage shed are all impervious surfaces, as are these purple, these are utilities, propane, sewer, what else is out there?
Sewer, propane, and air conditioning.
And the HVAC tower pad.
Propane is buried?
No, they're all utilities.
Is that the
It's
cylinder?
a very small
Yeah.
tank.
Yeah, and this green here is the concrete retaining wall, and the steps, we considered that impervious too. So we counted everything that you see in color as impervious. Then we move over to the proposed condition. The green addition is impervious. A roof that they want to put over the deck, the wraparound deck, right where their front door is, they have a doorway somewhere in here. So people will be able to come up the stairs and knock on the door without getting rained on, wait for somebody to use the door. That's impervious. The existing house is impervious still, as are these storage sheds and the shower. These 3 facilities here are underneath the deck, which is not considered impervious, because it's gonna have gaps between the floors and a natural surface underneath. The gravel parking apron that we just talked about over here is gonna be shortened. So the shortening of this gravel apron and the elimination of this large concrete patio make up for the additional impervious here in green and this roof in green, and a little connection that they want to make between the house and the shed. That is currently just an alley that's a foot wide, 2 feet wide, and they, in the future, want to make provisions to actually make that part of the house someday. So they wanted us to include that as impervious cover. So the proposed condition is balanced with these
You're not increasing the impervious coverage, but you're not decreasing it either.
Well, it's so close, 29.8 existing percent versus 29.7 proposed. That's within the precision of how well we can measure these things. It's balanced.
But also by putting those rain gardens in, that helps out with the
Well, it's,
impervious coverage on the roof too.
it does in the
Where do
sense
leaders
that
go
it
to
helps
now?
inject, I'll go back to the site plan. It helps inject water into the ground from the rooftop.
But where the leaders, the roof
Right
leaders go to
now,
now?
the roof leaders go to, the southeast,
There's one on
southwest.
each, there's one on each side. If you look in the corners of the property you'll see there's a riprap on both sides.
Right here?
Right there's one, and then on the other side, they have another one.
And the two roof leaders go to those.
You can see the existing roof leader, that one that we found on this side, right
Yeah.
there, goes there and then turns under those
Yeah,
hedges.
it
And
follows those-
daylight's right at that riprap,
So what you're saying is that takes half of the roof,
Yeah,
and
and the other half-
the other half goes up here.
goes here, but I couldn't find the pipe.
Could you move them further away from the lake?
Well, it's going into the rain
We're
garden.
moving, we're moving it way further away from the lake.
Yeah.
It's going into the rain
Into
garden.
the rain
We're
garden.
putting it into the
For the
rain
rain
garden.
garden.
Right, which are way up here
So,
now.
the
Right.
first inch of runoff will seep into the ground. Right now, it's going into the lake. If it rains more than 1 inch, then the rain garden will fill up and spill over the edge and flow down the lawn, where it might have an opportunity to seep in, it might not.
And where are the rain gardens in this picture?
This is the existing condition, which there are none. In the proposed condition.
Go back to the existing condition.
There are no rain gardens.
Show me where they would be, is what I'm asking.
About where that hand is.
Right here.
Okay.
And right here,
Okay,
yeah. So they're, 30 feet away from the lake.
all right.
Yeah, as opposed to a direct discharge to the lake, under the existing condition.
I was thinking, I looked at the plans and I was thinking maybe we could kind of sway them into making an impervious driveway to, their impervious driveway, put pervious pavers down. But looking at the site today, it didn't make sense. The pavement going up to the house kind of blends right into the road.
Yeah,
And it doesn't make sense to do that.
I didn't look at the site yet, I'm gonna, next month.
Yeah,
all right, and then, we have.
those rain gardens will help.
Yeah. So we have, some details on the rain gardens, on our temporary pump settling basin that we talked about. This is like a well point, it's called a pump intake protection, but it's really just in the bottom of the cellar hole, a pit would be dug, a vertical perforated pipe would be installed, and backfilled with crushed stone, so groundwater can be sucked down and keep the excavation in the dry. And that would go into this sediment basin, which we had located in the northwest corner of the site. We talked about that. And Rob put together a nice detailed soil erosion and sediment control plan for the project that covers, meets all the requirements of when the erosion control manual. We have details of silt fence, hay bales, construction entrance, et cetera. Is that it, Rob, or is there more? That's it. Okay, so that's a walk through the plans. We'll go back to the site plan. Do you have any questions?
I think we raised a couple of questions during the conversation, one with the outdoor shower,
Okay.
and then the impervious surface that Jeff just recommended to look at, we'll consider.
Well, when you see the site, it doesn't make sense.
No, I didn't see it.
When you see it, it all flows right into the road going up to the street, so. Just to put pavers on that section, it wouldn't be right.
And it's right next to the house. And if you do that, are you sending water into the ground right next to the footing drains? So it would just short circuit right out to through the footing drains and out to the lake.
The footing drains
Wasn't even
now go
thinking
into
that.
the rain gardens, or no, they daylight? How does,
They
Footing
did right at
drains,
the
I
lake.
believe, come down to these spots here, right, Rob?
Yeah.
but the new ones would,
Yeah, we're just gonna
Saying
connect
you're
into the
connecting
same
into-
discharge
okay.
part.
Question, do we need a public hearing?
don't believe we need a public hearing as far as if the zoning guys have it.
Yeah, that's right, zoning's,
Yeah,
plus there's
Jeff
only one other guy
can
down there.
attest to the conversations we've had. In fact, we made an appearance in front of ZBA, to ask for an interpretation of the regulation,
Interpretation of,
of a zoning regulation.
oh. Jeff, anything?
No, as Dave said, this hypothetical project, even at that point, came before ZBA to clarify some language, and it was clarified for them, and the plan is before you now, so.
All right. So my sense is consensus-wise, we don't need a public hearing.
I don't think so, I don't really think it's gonna
No, not
affect
with the
anybody.
one, not with the, mostly because of the zoning already.
Yeah,
That's-
alright.
that's a good one.
All right, we've raised a couple of concerns. Do we need the plan reviewed by an engineer,
What you're saying,
third-party engineer? Gary?
I don't believe so, but it's a small addition.
The lot's pretty flat too.
I'm just, you gotta ask the right questions.
No, I don't believe it.
Okay,
It's not gonna,
all right, we'll simply accept the application tonight. We've articulated some of our concerns, and hopefully they will be addressed next month, and we'll move ahead with the project. All right, is there a motion to accept?
I move to accept, application
2318.
2318, instructor, addition to house.
Is there a second?
That's like,
All those in favor of accepting? Gentlemen, thank you very much for your presentation. Have a good night. I think the next application is 23-20, the town of Winchester. Is there a representative? You again? Damn.
Getting your money's worth out of it.
Oh, man.
I'm glad I'm not paying.
Hold on, let me get to the,
That's what I
You're
said.
gonna retire after this.
East Street, 834.
okay, for the record. You are.
I am David Batista, Haley Ward Incorporated Engineers, 140 Willow Street, in the town, representing the town of Winchester on an application to reconstruct a retaining wall, a town-owned retaining wall in vicinity of 834 East Wakefield Boulevard, which is on the southerly tip of the lake. In the application that we submitted, I provided a project description, which basically talks about the wall, but I have this up here to, more importantly, to show pictures that I included in the description. So this is, like I said, right at the southerly tip of the lake. The boulevard is right here. There's a retaining wall very close to the house, right here. This is the top of the wall. And there's a slope that goes from the top of the wall up to the road. The wall's in bad condition, it needs to be replaced. The town had this property at 834 surveyed, and it was determined that the right-of-way line goes between the wall and the house.
So the right-of-way what?
The right-of-way line. In other words, this wall is within the highway corridor of East Wakefield Boulevard.
Is the town aware that this house received approval for a wetlands application to, on the far side of the house? I think it's the same house? No?
Now,
Not
where they're gonna redo the patio?
to redo that, pull that patio, that wall
No,
back?
No, it's different house.
Looks the same.
No,
to me.
that's Zeeland's
Okay.
old house you're
Yeah.
talking about, this is not, this is
Okay,
further east.
So this, you can see, we don't have a lot of working room right here to build this thing. This is a picture of the wall sewer lateral, and it pretty much compromised this. This is a big giant settlement crack here, and this section of the wall is settling. This section of the wall is actually tilting toward the house. So, yeah, a couple more pictures. And you can see some tilting going on back here. This is Bart Clark, he's with the Public Works Department. And so, and he's about my height, so this wall's, 5.5 feet tall or so, coming through, and it gets a little bit taller from where I took this picture. And then, the only means of access to, the boulevard from this house are these stairs that come up a full story, and land right on the street, which is at the end of this little wooden platform. And you can see how the wall is in tough shape, and it's actually leaning into these two posts right now. It's touching here and here. So those are the pictures, and I'll call up the plan. This is the location right here at the very southerly tip of the lake. This is an existing condition plan. So, the house at 834 is right here. There's a kind of a wooden patio down at ground level, and a set of stairs that we just saw a picture of that go up here. And the retaining wall in question is just behind the street line, right where my cursor is moved. And you can see the end of it going underneath the steps right there. This property's been surveyed by the town, so we have a good line of survey on it. We're proposing to build a modular concrete block wall. These will be good-sized blocks, several feet long, 1.5 to 3 feet high, big ones, not the small ones that have geogrid. This is going to be a gravity wall that will be able to withstand the earth pressure and the traffic loading behind it from its own weight. There'll be some disturbance required over here at the end on another property. And in addition to building this wall, we're going to reconstruct a couple hundred feet of the boulevard to improve surface drainage. Right now, there's a bird bath right here in the road. You can see it in one of the pictures that I have in the project description. When it rains really hard, that bird bath fills up and spills over the wall, and we think it introduces water to the backside of the wall. So we're going to try to eliminate that by reshaping the road. And because it's such a long, flat area, we really have to have a lengthy roadway reconstruction to get the correct tapers and introduce the right vertical curvature to the roadway and the gutter. This is a profile view of the roadway. The black line is the center line profile of the road, and the green line is the lakeside roadway gutter, and the red line is the far side roadway gutter grading. And so you can tell from looking at this diagram that the road is super elevated, meaning its slope like a racetrack is banked so that cars can have comfortable negotiation going around a horizontal curve. We have some roadway cross sections, and really the vertical changes in the roadway will not be significant, maybe 4 to 6 inches at the most. The road surface will change, so it's not like we're creating a deep cut or a deep fill to make this whole thing work. Just standard details on the roadway construction, erosion control plan, which I can talk about in a minute, and one of the structural drawings. We had soil borings done behind the wall, so we know what's going on there. They went down 20 some odd feet, so we know we're not going to hit bedrock with the footings here. We came up with this structure plan to make a proposed wall, and we're going to set this project up similar to the way I explained the hospital to you last time. We're calling for support of excavation in the road, so the contractor who wins this job is gonna have to figure out a way to hold up the roadway with a temporary retaining system so that he can dig this all out and work close enough to the excavation, with a machine. The town, their original intent was to just let the contractor open cut the whole thing and close the road down. And have a big giant hole that goes all the way across the boulevard so that the contractor doesn't have to build this temporary thing. But when we talked about it a little more, we said, why not give the contractor the option? In the specifications, we'll tell him, you either have to build temporary supportive excavation if you want the close access to the hole you have to dig, or you can open cut. We're gonna give him the choice. We have, similar to the last project we talked about, we're gonna have well points in the bottom of the excavation. We're gonna pump whatever groundwater they have to suck out of that hole while they're putting the footing in, or the foundation for this wall. We'll pump into a dewatering filter bag out in the street. And that will filter the collected groundwater, and then water would bleed out of the bag, which is like a giant tea bag almost.
Yeah.
With pressurized water in it, and it will go down into a catch basin down the road. This is a profile or an elevation view of the wall. We're not gonna dig very deep. The manufacturers all say that you can put in shallow embedment on these walls. We hired a geotechnical engineer to review the situation. He recommended that we embed the wall 18 inches below grade. And
With what, with process?
we're gonna dig down 18, 24 inches. We're gonna put gravel in, and that's gonna serve as the foundation for the block
Okay.
walls. We haven't, yes, sir.
All right, question, how far is the nearest catch basin to this?
I would say about 100 feet.
So it's not in this construction area at all?
No,
You're saying it's 100 feet away, so,
roughly, yeah. If my memory serves me, it's to the east, which is to the left as you look at these drawings, and it's down at the bottom of a hill. This is the top of a hill, then there's a
Right.
slight hill going by the next property.
This is,
so there wouldn't be any areas that could be part of this to put another catch basin in? Or would be? My point of asking about this is I feel like sometimes in these big projects, we're maybe missing a potential to improve a catch basin or add a catch basin somewhere. This is a big project, and we have a lot of problems with catch basins on the lake, right? They're not either.
Is the catch basin that you're talking about, Dave, on the same side of the,
It's beyond this house right here, is the next house over from 834. We're working up here.
Yeah.
And then there's another house, and you can see the road's going downhill, 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 and somewhere down in here is a catch basin that, right to the left.
this is on that corner by Dutton's.
what's that?
This is on that corner by Dutton's. Right in the third
Down
bay.
from Mountain Road?
Yeah,
at the
that's
stop
at the
sign.
low point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the low point is right down in here somewhere.
Couple of questions. On the other side, the off side of the street, not the lake side,
Yeah.
the off side, are there any paper roads coming down there that create, runoff coming down the hill?
Right here, there's a driveway that kind of goes up this way. I don't know where it goes. It's like a informal road. And we're gonna put a paved apron right here on that.
So that helps improve that runoff area, is
Well,
what you're.
It'll protect against any runoff that's coming down. It will protect the road.
Now, my sense is the town Public Works Department is not gonna do this project. It's gonna go out to bid?
It's gonna go out to bid, yes.
Okay. Couple of questions. Number one, public hearing. I think,
Yeah.
in my opinion, yes. Only because it's the town, number one. And there are people in the audience shaking their head this way and the other way. So I think there's concern that it's not limited to the one house, where the retaining wall or that support wall is gonna be installed, but it's impacting the street as it goes further down in front of other houses.
Do you know when they wanna do this, what the time frame is of it?
They wanna do it off-season, they don't wanna do it during the summer, because the road's gonna be blocked off for a month.
The road is gonna be what?
Blocked off for a month,
It's gonna be closed.
yes, yes, that's the present
And
plan.
we better have a public hearing.
Yeah. It's not gonna be anywhere as long as the culvert. that
Yeah,
was
but
done
still.
in. This whole project is designed to go very quickly for that reason.
So whichever option the contractor takes, whether, either way, it's gonna shut the road down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It almost sounded like.
No matter what, we're gonna have too much impact. There could be times, this wall's gonna get built very quickly, once the hole is opened up and the foundation is put in.
They just stack
It's
them
like
up.
stacking blocks,
Right.
and they go
Yeah.
up quickly, it can be backfilled within a few days, they'll have the wall constructed and backfilled. At which time, they can probably open the road to alternating one-way traffic. So it's not something that's gonna be, shut down from stem to stern, it's gonna be shut down for a critical period in the middle when the wall's being excavated and constructed, and then again, it'll go into probably an alternating one-way pattern with stop sign control.
You know what, the road surface is gonna maybe better
It's gonna
when it's
improve the
all
road.
rocky
Yeah.
and before it's paved than it
Yeah.
is now.
Yeah, there's definitely, we're gonna
Because
improve the
those,
road.
that road over there is a mess.
Yeah, yes, and, so we're gonna improve the roadway from this point to this point, it's about 200 feet. if I
So then,
remember.
to put blacktop down, you have to be in season. You're saying
Yes.
you're gonna do the work off-season, but to put blacktop back down,
Well, the
it's,
plants open up
Jack
somewhere
Gary, no,
around
yes?
April
Yeah.
1.
what's that?
The plants open up, the asphalt plants open up April 1.
So you're planning on what?
So Jim Rollins wanted to go out to bid as soon as possible, after the permits are all in place. Select a contractor, we're gonna have to go through, something called a submittal review process with them, where they have to come up with the final design of the wall. They have to pick a block system, the block company prepares a design, that has to be reviewed by us. And then if he decides to use a supportive excavation system, like I showed you on that drawing, the contractor would have to hire an engineer, he would have to design that temporary support system. So there's gonna be several months of submittal
Preparation.
reviews after the project goes out to bid and the contractor's selected. Then he wants to go to construction and get this thing wrapped up in the spring as soon as he can, so that there isn't a road closure or even a alternating one-way traffic when the season comes around late May.
All right, I think we have consensus that we need a public hearing. And second of all, I think, down the road, we're gonna need an independent engineers to review this plan.
It's a town
That's the
No?
plan.
What?
It's a town project. I
town,
don't
yeah.
think we need that.
No?
I don't think so. Adds a lot of cost, I would think.
I don't think
I
we've
don't-
done
I
it in
don't-
the past.
I don't
is my
believe-
point. I don't think we've done it in the
No,
past.
we haven't done it for the town in
Okay.
the past.
For the town.
I don't think we need to go there.
Usually, when the town presents, it's the town presenting, and they use their engineer or their person that works out of Public Works. I don't know the gentleman's name, but in the past, he's presented to us.
Art?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, he's a professional engineer like I am.
I know, but,
Oh, yeah.
but,
He and I and Jim Rollins conceived this whole thing, so it's sort of, other eyes are looking at it besides mine. I'm not trying to talk you out of the third
no,
party.
no, I'm just, normally he would present,
Yeah.
and now the town is presenting to us. Now we're getting an independent engineer representing the town presenting to us, that's why I'm asking.
What, okay, let me back up. What are we looking for an independent engineer's opinion on? Opinion on erosion? We don't have anything to do with construction. Nothing to do with construction here. We only have control of erosion control. That's it, not construction. So what are we getting an opinion on? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
We are not here as a board for construction. We're here as a board for erosion control, sedimentation.
Yeah, I don't think we
In,
need.
in half of the job, you know, even you get an engineer, it's just like they were saying. Once this job is put out, the contractor has to submit through another engineer. Nothing's even drawn up,
Okay.
you know what I mean? It's not, that's,
Dave, what will the stone, the blocks be backfilled with? Have they put stone back behind them to
No,
help drainage, or?
well, there's some stone behind them, some of them are hollow, like concrete cinder blocks, and they get filled with crushed stone. Then there's a crushed stone drainage layer behind some systems, not, so water can run down to
Right, okay.
weep holes that will come out, the bottom of the wall. And then from there back, it's gonna be good quality gravel. It's called pervious structure backfill in DOT parlance.
This project, is it being initiated at the request of the homeowner or by the town?
I don't know the history, but, there was some back and
You're the
forth
homeowner.
between the town and the homeowner about the wall, and the town had the property surveyed and found out that the town in fact owns the wall.
Okay.
It's known that.
Yes, and so they
You gotta
then
look at
hired me to design this plan, and
All right,
The road's kinda caving in.
Yeah, I know.
It's,
I thought it was, for some reason, the house that it's adjacent to, I didn't realize the homeowners of the house are here, but it looks like something we just approved like a month or so ago.
It's a
One or two houses away.
it is, a few houses further.
One or two houses away. All right, so we're gonna have a public hearing.
Well, did you go over sediment control or erosion control?
well, we have,
That was in the last pages, yeah, we did,
Yeah.
we did, yeah.
we have, a detailed soil erosion sediment control narrative for the project that has construction sequence. We're looking at a 4-week project, and that's all right here.
Okay.
Stem to stern. And then the rest of this is, all the stuff that we normally have about silt fence and,
So I looked at the site today, it doesn't look like, where would you put silt fence? I mean, it's,
you can't.
you know,
There isn't
there's
room
nothing
for-
there.
There isn't room for it.
Somebody's bedroom.
So we have these,
There's this much room between the wall and the house.
we're gonna use a filter sock up against the house, which is this detail here, which is, something in the order of magnitude of 12-inch diameter tube filled with mulch and a netting around the outside of it, and that will be used. And then, if the house was over here, the excavation is actually gonna be below that. So, we're gonna be
Okay.
sucking groundwater out from below this elevation of this thing. And it's only gonna be open for a brief period of time. As soon as they get that hole open, they're gonna start bringing stone in, crushed stone in, and making the bedding for the wall. And then they put the first course of blocks in. Once the first course goes in and everything's nice and level and plumb, then it
Goes
stacks
fast.
up. The 1 or 2 days, they'll have the whole thing stacked.
Just as a point to reiterate and possibly consider Russ's suggestion or a question regarding, the possibility of another catch basin somewhere
I'll
along the
mention
line.
it to the county, and we'll have an answer for you at the public hearing.
Okay, good. All right, any other questions? All right, is there a motion to accept the application with the understanding that we'll schedule a public hearing for next month?
I'll make a motion to, accept, application IWWC 23-20, Town of Winchester for 834 East Wakefield Boulevard, with the condition of a public hearing for the next schedule.
And it would be for interest or for other concerns, the public hearing?
Public interest.
Interest? Okay.
Do a second?
Second.
Jackie, all those in favor of accepting? So Dave, you guys will work with the town and the notifications going out for public hearings and stuff like that. And thank you for your presentation. Okay. Application 2322, Ram Construction or Contracting, 204 East Wakefield Boulevard.
Good evening.
For the record, introduce yourself, sir.
Robertson Michel, President and owner, RAM Contracting Incorporated. We've got a document I'm just gonna pass out to you that came in a little late this afternoon from the surveyor. Nice to see you all again.
It's been some time.
Before COVID, the
Yeah.
last one was.
I said that to Jeff.
Yeah.
been a while.
It's been a little while. Last one was by video. So this particular project, similar to so many we've done before, is standard seawall maintenance. There is a stone and mortar seawall at the property. You can see on the survey that this client just had done. They are a relatively new property owner within the last couple of years. So is the next application, and I'm up here as well about. The wall is in need of maintenance, simple. A lot of deteriorated concrete in various areas, some already fallen out, some on its way to be fallen. A project narrative just describes the removal of the loose and deteriorating concrete. We would remove it by hand, in some cases a little air chisel if we need to. All of the concrete would be cleaned up and disposed of at a dump site off the premises. Following that, we'd be installing a sand cement mortar into the wall itself. Depending on the weather conditions, it might include a thermal lube or a small bonding agent mixed in with it. Concrete would be mixed in 5-gallon buckets, as we usually would by hand on land, nothing on the lake bed. And in terms of working on the lake bed, we put down plywood for us to stand or kneel on.
Do you need a deep drawdown or?
No, these are feasible in the low drawdown. Yeah.
And that won't begin until November 1st.
Yeah, and so one of the things is on this particular project, and, the same narrative for the other as well primarily, the working temperatures are gonna play a factor, not just in the surface, but the ambient temperatures as well. So the working times, they're north-facing properties, 11 in the morning to maybe 2:30 in the afternoon is gonna be that little window of opportunity for the concrete installation to just play it safe, because when it's in such small amounts like that, we don't wanna risk freezing. So the project itself, prep would be about a day or so, and then we would move to the installation and spread that over the next couple of days, weather pending, and just install what we feasibly can.
How long do you think you'll be at this address?
If weather was great and we had a 70-degree day, just probably 2 days. But if the weather's, up and down, we get some of those cold nights, really cold mornings, and we're not getting that, sort of sun overhead until midday, we might push it to 3 days, somewhere thereabouts.
There's no storage of material, everything is gonna be stockpiled and removed?
Everything comes right out with us, it's all bagged material,
Yeah.
nothing stored on site.
No machinery on the lake bed?
No, nothing on the lake, nothing even on the site, actually. At best, we'll bring a small, hand-carry generator for a mixing drill, and that's about it. Other than that, nothing else. And whatever we bring, as usual, when we depart the site at the end of the day, it all comes with us in our trailer. So we don't leave anything.
You're just repointing.
Just essentially
Yeah.
repointing, yep.
Approximately percentage-wise, how much of the wall do you think you have to repoint, or you can't tell yet?
On this, I actually had looked at this wall about 10 years ago. And at that point, different owners, and at that point, there was a fair amount, I'd say somewhere upwards of 75% of the wall face in this particular instance might have some attention to it. Not that it's all falling out, but we would certainly pay attention to, as much of it as we possibly can. It's older, this one, there's no doubt about it. Some of that, though, has its benefits, because some of the concrete that they put back in those days was a little bit more stable. than
How
it is
high is the wall
now.
from the lake floor?
Oh, probably less than 3 feet. I mean, it's not.
3 feet?
Yeah, they're not a very tall wall, not in these areas. They've got a fairly shallow lake bed in there. There might be a section where it kind of comes up maybe the height of your table at best, but nothing else than that. Smaller wall.
Do you ever wash, do these walls get washed down, like power washed at all?
In some cases, we will, but
Right.
in a lot of cases, it really depends on the application, because a lot of them will have a lot of sediment, a lot of mildew buildup, things that will
Right.
prevent the concrete from sticking to the actual wall
Right, that's what I
face.
was thinking. Like,
But for us, and what you see in a lot of the products that we've done up at the lake, the vast majority of our work is in between. We're
Yeah.
not facing the existing stone
Right.
necessarily, we're trying to get in the actual wall, so we hand press the material in, or,
yeah, I didn't know if you
flow press.
power washed in the cracks to try to clean.
No, I try to avoid, because in some of those cases, if you have a deep
Yeah.
void or something, all we're gonna do is cause an erosion issue that we're trying to
Behind
eliminate,
it,
yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
So-
Okay.
else? Nothing? All right, obviously, no need for a public hearing.
Yeah, it's a simple, simple maintenance.
All right, we have a motion to accept the application,
Sure, I'll make a motion.
2322.
Accept IWWC 2322 for 204 East Wakefield Boulevard for seawall maintenance.
Is there a second? All those in favor of accepting? Okay, it's unanimous. Just one last question before you leave. You're not touching the dock, the walkout, or anything like that?
No, no, the dock itself is a standalone dock taken out during the winter. It will presumably be out before we are gonna be in there, so whatever seawall is highlighted in blue, we would attempt to.
Okay, but nothing with the waterfront, other than, okay.
Nothing on the dock.
Okay. The next application is 23-21.
That's you.
Same contractor,
Still
the
me.
the address is 206 East Wakefield.
There you go. Now, these, they actually just had their survey started yesterday, so this print is a little raw, and actually has more detail of the property that I was just talking about than the one that we're here about. But it did highlight in blue the same aspect of the seawall that we'd be working on. This seawall is a bit newer, certainly new within the last 10 or so years. To jump ahead on the narrative, same as I mentioned before, removal of any deteriorating material or loose material. We would dispose of it at a dump site off the premises. Concrete would be mixed by hand in 5-gallon buckets. We would put down plywood on the lake bed should we need to walk or kneel on there. This seawall, as I mentioned, being newer, the amount of deterioration and significance of that is less. This client is doing this more as a preventative maintenance. So they're really trying to help this wall last. They are new property owners within the last year or so, is my understanding. Same premise and same timeline, and again, like I said, neighboring properties here, so everything else remains the same in terms of working time.
So you're talking 4 to 6 days for both of them. You're doing them all at the same time, right?
If we did them back to back, yeah, if we did them back to back.
You won't do them simultaneously?
It really all depends on, what we're up against with conditions. So if we have a good stretch of weather and we can do one, and then it looks like we're gonna have a bad one, it might not be immediately following, but thereabouts, yeah. Be great if we could.
Yeah, I was just thinking of, next door neighbors, they want to make it all blend together, so it just kind of matches, blends in,
Well,
but,
actually, and when you go, if you do go out to the site, these are two similarly in terms of style, they're stone and mortar, but one is more of a cut stone. So this particular property here is more of a cut stone and stack.
Okay,
Where
so
the
they're
other
not
one is
gonna
more
match up anyways.
natural round stone, so you're gonna see just a different contour, on one versus the other.
And nothing is happening on the waterfront in terms of docks or anything of that
Nothing's
sort?
happening on the waterfront in terms of docks. I will tell you though that this, even though this little quick map, and I will make sure that a more formal copy of their finished survey is submitted at the next meeting. There is a dock at this property. I just asked the surveyor to make sure that he at least threw something together from a property line perspective, so I had a more detailed drawing to show you tonight on this. But once their survey is completed, I will make sure that a copy of that water frontage is submitted to you at the next
Okay,
meeting.
but no work is being done on a dock or adding any lifts or anything else?
We're not touching any lifts, boat lifts, docks, nothing like that, simply the seawall.
Any other questions? All right, is there a motion to accept?
Sure, I will make a motion to accept IWWC 23-21 at 206 East Wakefield Boulevard for seawall maintenance.
Second? Jeff, all those in favor of acceptance? All right, unanimous. See you next month.
Thank you very much, nice to see you all again.
Same here, thank you. Okay, where do you want to begin?
Well, we could just go in order on the agenda here.
Okay,
No work has been undertaken yet at 21 Crescent Street, which you'll see under determinations. So nothing really to talk about there. 265 Colebrook Road, under the violations, you'll remember this is the property that had its driveway culvert washout during the heavy rains. I was up there, I think every day after construction started, monitoring. I submitted in your packets a slideshow so you could sort of follow along with the daily progress. Public Works Director Jim Rollins also stopped by periodically. He did give his quote final inspection. He was okay with the work that was done. Of course, all with the understanding that this is temporary. The practices that we made conditions of the approval were followed to the best of their ability, and the site is in good order right now.
I saw it also. Question I have, they have two huge pipes in the middle, and then there's like a, sort of like a little rock wall between the two pipes. Does that little rock wall go straight across between the two pipes from one end of the
Yes.
driveway to the other?
It does, and it's
So
all,
it
it's all
supports,
compacted.
it supports the middle of that
Right.
bridge?
Right.
Okay.
I thought they did a beautiful job. It's a shame it can't be permanent.
Yeah.
I spoke to Jim today because I needed to
It
talk
looks-
to him about other stuff, and he said, well, the capacity's not there.
Right.
Apparently, there's a bridge a couple hundred feet upriver that,
They got a lot of pipe and a lot of, they're picking up, I mean,
gave me dimensions.
those pipes are huge, and then they have an overflow pipe on either side.
Right.
Yeah, but it's still not
Yeah.
enough.
I know,
That's,
And part of the problem is, without it being professionally designed, there's
Yeah.
no way for us to know if the capacity is adequate for the upstream.
I think I'm satisfied with the end product under the circumstances.
Same here,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right?
and I
Yeah,
do
it's
intend
beautiful.
to check in with the property owners
Then-
quarterly
Yeah.
for updates on their final solution, and I'll keep you apprised of that.
so Jim said the culvert upstream was 10 by 12. And that was
That's a minimum you'd have to,
That was overflowed
Right.
during this storm, apparently.
but being downstream, you'd have to be larger.
And he said, because it's one big hole as opposed to four smaller ones, it didn't have the same capacity.
All right, I just want to be sure that the minutes contain language that says that this is temporary and that it has to be addressed engineered-wise and reconstruction-wise within a year?
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, I throw in temporary everywhere I possibly can when I talk about or write about this project.
Yeah, okay, but I just want it in the minutes because I don't want to come back to this a year from now and say he said, she said. So we're clear on that.
Yes.
We did have it in the last, not the last meeting prior.
Yeah.
That it was stated it was 1 year.
Yeah, but now this
It's
is,
That way it's
actually,
only one
as
year.
language as part of the order
Good.
as well.
Right.
okay, you want to continue on the violations?
Sure, so, next is North Main Street, this is the, Kasdan Click property. Lance and I walked the entire site and we mapped out all our areas of concern that required, some way to be addressed by the property owner. Attorney Nelligan brought that information to Click and his attorneys, and we now have another on-site meeting scheduled for October 5th, so we can be absolutely clear where those areas of concern are and they can be addressed.
Well, is zoning involved with that also and the state, because it's a state road and the driveway was cut at, without plans or at a
No,
steep slope?
Click does have a easement where that driveway was cut in, that is filed on the land record, so he was able to do it. It's maybe not done right.
We did it without plans, so just because he has an easement doesn't mean that he's allowed to just.
Well, allowed
permit,
as far as he
right?
didn't trespass to do it.
Right, but as far as the road was never, there were no plans for the road, right? It was just cut.
Right, and it's not been accepted or anything like that.
But
It's
we're
pretty
putting
much
con-
abandoned at this point up there.
Right.
No additional work has happened in some time. The trailer that was left on site up there has been torn open by bears. The cabin that was partially constructed up there is no longer full of chickens, but it has also been abandoned. So I'm not sure what Click plans on doing. There's even, trees have been cut down on site and left there, not even taken off, so he doesn't seem to be doing any timber work or anything like that.
He's probably gonna leave it to the town, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, thank you. 308 East Wakefield?
308, no really further update. I haven't really gotten into this one,
Just as a point of background, if I'm not mistaken, 308 is in that cove with,
He had approval to put
Crowded
some
cove.
stuff down, but he put a whole
yeah,
complete patio
yeah,
system in.
this gentleman, we gave him approval for limited work on the waterfront and on a patio, and he went out like another 20, 25 feet with a nice patio, but without permission. And, this has gotta be 2 or 3 years now, you know, at least. So I think without threatening him, you know, one of the things we can do is ask him to remove that patio or we'll take it out. You know what I'm saying? But he's gotta do something.
That's not a threat.
What's that?
That didn't sound like a threat.
No, you're right, it's not a threat.
So wait,
I said one of the things
I don't
we could
remember
ask
this
him
one.
to do.
The last we talked, in my recollection, was that he was gonna get an engineer.
this has been,
And the
you
engineer
know-
was gonna figure a way to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And come back to us on that.
Again.
So has he
But
talked
this
to
patio is
engineers?
placed out on the property or over the wall?
He just,
Well, the wall goes, he put a beautiful retainer wall in,
Yeah,
and
he
he
built it.
patioed everything from there up to his house.
yeah, he did a nice
It was
job, but he
beautiful,
did it
but-
illegally.
Yeah.
You
Have
know.
you
In other
talked to
words,
him
he
about
encroached on the lake.
Yeah, well,
No, I assume that you guys approved.
I don't
This is
remember what
before
was
my
there.
time. You must
What-
have approved the.
we didn't give him
the wall.
permission to the extent of what he developed.
Right.
Let's put it that way. And, you know, he was very apologetic, my wife made me do it, you know, the old Flip Wilson, the devil made me do it. And that's the truth, that's what his answer was, my wife made me do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, we're left with a violation that we're sort of silent on.
Well,
You know, listen-
as I've got listed here, the violation is topped out, it's on the land records.
Yeah.
I can move this, near the top
You
of
know,
my
one-
list.
one of the
I
things-
haven't made contact with the property owner myself.
Yeah, okay,
So,
well, see if you
I'll-
can get more specific on it, only because this has been, we're carrying it for years.
Is
Yeah.
there a lien on the property?
Not to my knowledge, with the violation, it tops out at $2,500. And if they didn't want to pay that, they would have to come time for a property transfer. So, I don't
Somebody
know.
would have to pay that.
Yeah, it would need to be settled at that
That's
point.
probably
but
the cheapest way out.
well, that's,
You know, it's.
yeah.
You say choose well, I mean, he just pays the fine and then it goes away? Or how do we, is that?
So, if they decide to come in and pay that fine, well, no, because the work hadn't been changed yet.
You know, we're caught between a rock and a hard place because, you know, if the language that we use insists that he pull that out, we're disturbing everything, the lake bed included. Sometimes it's better to leave well enough alone and impose a fine of some sort, and he gets what he wants, you know, we compromise, but we maintain the integrity of the lake without further disturbance, and
But
Wasn't
if
the
it's the
retainer
fine's
wall?
not that big, people just say, well, I'll just,
Well,
I'll just pay the fine instead of doing
that's
the
where,
engineering,
that's
right?
where enforcement comes in though.
What's that?
Wasn't the
Yeah.
retainer
Yeah.
wall approved?
It's
Was the retainer wall approved? The seawall, the lake wall?
I'm
Was
not,
it-
I don't remember specifically what was
That's
approved.
something that's worth knowing, right?
You know,
Yeah.
you know what, see if you can pull the application and the approval for next month's meeting. This way it's in our packet and we talk about it somewhat intelligently.
No, what was approved and what wasn't.
But I guess, and that, the 139 West Wakefield Boulevard with that quick deed approach to the docking and mooring ordinance,
right, so we told her, per Nelligan's, information, that they should simply reapply for a permit with all the new owners as part of the application. Because as you guys know, the property owner needs to match the permit, and the boats on the dock need to match all of that. She had not gotten back to me in quite some time. I reached out to her just the other day. She did reply, said she hasn't been feeling well. She plans on applying, so that's kind of where we're at with that.
Okay.
So.
If she doesn't apply, can we put a cease and desist that no boats can go back in the water until a permit is applied and approved? I mean, we're talking next season.
Yeah, I'll double check with Nelligan. I did bring to him the question of whether it would be appropriate for the commission to start imposing fines now that we were sort of at the end of the situation, but the fact that she hasn't done what she needs to do, we're not really at the end. So I could go back to him with that and say, what can we do? We need a stick to go with this.
Okay, good.
Yeah, all right.
Good, very good. Strong Terrace, we've resolved during public meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, so this is the violation order part of Strong Terrace, so it's gonna remain on here until it's rectified,
Okay.
Regardless of the application that was withdrawn. And I provided some pictures for you there. No particular reason, I was just out there that day. Wanted to document that Mr. Finn clearly has not done any further work, which is part of the order, so that's good. He had some stakes up so traffic could stay out of that area. I also found it interesting that the watercourse was sort of reclaiming itself. It's hard to see in the pictures, but if you've been on site, you can see the water is flowing even over the top of where the pipe went in. And
So
sort of,
this is, that property that we had the big, or across for, that they had the big, lost the words here. The,
driveway expansion.
no, not the driveway expansion, the big wall that went out, the Crawford Dam.
No.
Is that's not across the street from that? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's 211, 212.
This is
West Wake
behind,
Road.
this is,
Okay,
this
I'm
this
sorry.
property is behind Whiting Mills. That
Oh,
little-
yes,
little-
okay, I'm
little
sorry.
hill behind Whiting Mills.
And I did provide a GIS printout of the property line. This was before the survey came in, so disregard the GIS. That's only a guide anyway.
Right.
But the survey does sort of match with that jog in the property line, which I found interesting.
And Tom reviewed the 211 project, and that's why I guess they asked for a continuance?
Yeah, he gave quite a bit of information
saw
for
that.
them to digest.
So,
You know, in-
we're gonna require that plan to be stamped, I believe, for that project.
for 211.
Yeah, engineer stamped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to
I
recall.
think Grimaldi's letter kinda led that
But that was
way.
one with, now we're at the Crawford Dam.
Now you're
Yeah, but
there,
it's
the main
it's
house.
across
You
the
know,
street.
so when I looked at that, I happened to be driving by, I looked at that property today, I still feel like across the street is, you know, obviously an active construction site.
Right.
Zone.
Yeah, they
You've
have-
got a lot of runoff and dirt all over the street that
There's
goes
stockpiles of
into
stuff there on
a catch basin there that flows directly in. I feel like this project, I'm surprised that they're letting that occur, knowing how much they had to go through on the other side with the Coffer Dam, and now you have, you know, like I said, no silt fences, you've got debris, or, you know, silt from the Bobcat going up and down the paved driveway, which is maybe just a temporary driveway. It just seems like there's
There's
no.
piles of stuff there. There's
Right, and
piles
there's
of dirt.
stockpiles of stuff
Like
there.
staging.
Right, that's a staging
And it's not-
area.
But they did mention
There's no silt
going
fence
through
over
a
it.
sequence on the building on the other side. They mentioned they were using that side as
Right.
staging.
Well, that should have a silt fence in front of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's really that's really at a point of a violation to me. If you're, I saw all that, unfortunately, that's one of those catch basins that is really, you know, I look down in there, you can't even see the catch basin, you just hear water gurgling. I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe that's a good thing, because the water that goes in there, in theory, is filtered a little bit, but before it goes through a big pipe that goes directly across the lake, but,
So,
you know, again, I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed there, that,
I drove
Yeah.
up Bonds Lane today, up to the site, up by Wurz Garages. And behind the house it goes up a slope like this too.
Behind that?
Behind the
Behind?
house. So all that water's coming off that hill, behind the house,
That was my concern.
past the house, and then down the hill in front that we can
That
see.
was my concern when I mentioned that, you know, he's running all that water out to that small rain garden off of all those roofs, and it's right down by the road. We have an icing problem because it's on the north slope, you know what I mean? And all that water comes down onto the road over in that area, and you always have an icing problem. And that flow of water coming out of those gutters,
That's gotta be
you know, along
On
with
huge.
what's coming down.
the actual
And no one's
house,
On the
calculated
actual
it.
house, he's
which
coming
is
down.
quite
to-
large.
Right, he's gonna come down to this one thing.
But,
You know, I mean-
but Gary, the whole mountain behind it's
It's
gonna
coming
come
down
through
with
that
it.
too.
No, I know, that's coming down with it.
And there's no water calculations of how much is going into that
Well, that's
spreader
why-
unit?
That's why we
That's
went
not,
to Grimaldi,
yeah,
you know what I mean, I had to
that's,
have him look at it, because I still don't believe that.
Give
That
Tom a
works.
call and ask him if he addressed this concern, that the commission is talking about tonight, or, you know, let's assume he addressed it, but did he address it aggressively enough? I guess the best way to say it?
so all that water, all off that whole mountain comes into that one storm drain.
Well, it comes down to the side, unfortunately, that side of the road is just a gutter drain. It just
Yes.
runs
All
down.
the way
When we
along.
pumped, you know, when he pumped the water out initially out of, before the silt bag, he was pumping across the street. And it was running down the street, down to a catch basin in front of the neighbor's
A
house.
couple of 100 feet away.
A couple
In
hundred
front
feet
of
away.
Brad's house?
Yeah.
Right, so it
Okay.
runs down the gutter.
Yeah.
So where he's putting his rain garden, there's no catch basin right out in front, like if that rain garden flowed over in the wintertime when the ground's froze.
Isn't there a
It wouldn't come
culvert?
down and go down in a
Is
basin.
the
it'd
rain
come
Isn't
down-
there
garden
one right in
even
front of
being
us, right in the
completed?
center of the
It's not in
property?
construction
No,
now,
no,
is
they're
it?
putting a whole new addition on the front of the house. I don't know if you
But
missed
it's
that
for
meeting.
sale. I must have missed a meeting, like the house is for sale.
No, 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 next to it is.
Oh, this is
next
the big one that went with the.
This was, we're
Right.
talking
That's
about
not
the
for sale.
property
Across the street from the coffer
where
dam.
that
Yeah,
coffer dam.
Correct,
Right,
they're adding the
yeah.
garage on the front, they're moving the driveway from where it is now down.
so yeah, we're
and
talking
then
about the same
whole front
property. I just
yard's
feel
gonna
like
be
that's
torn
in
up.
violation with the stockpile. There's not, I mean, it's an open
There should be-
construction site
you're
with
right,
no
there should
silt
be- There
fences.
should be something around the stock.
I don't
piles.
know if that entrance, that little driveway was just paved last year as a
No, that driveway
construction, that was there.
That was there.
But it, as you said, you can see all the silt flowing out. I feel like it's something that's, you know,
Do you think you
Well,
should
that
go up
we
there and
can
take a
Yeah,
look at
I've
that?
already made it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
it
Visit
really
that. You
is
could visit with them.
susceptible.
And it's an active site, there were workers there today.
Yeah.
Right.
Going back.
And we get emails back and forth from the head builder, so I'll easily make contact and get it rectified.
There's
What's
gotta
his
be a
name?
lot of
Jeff
water
still
coming
the
off.
builder there?
Jeff from Southpaw
Yeah.
Builders, or, yeah.
Okay, and he's cooperative, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take a closer look though.
And
and
today I
address that.
noticed that they had some kind of a machinery where they were reaching over on the lakeside. They were reaching down and pulling dirt out.
Okay, so that's probably related to the installation of the underground propane tank that's going in that
Again,
spot.
I didn't stop, I had enough on.
There was two or
They're
three pretty
they're
good
behind-
sized
They're
pipes.
behind their retaining wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a series of
Yeah.
retaining walls
Yeah.
heading down to the lake, yeah.
All right, I think we finished.
I talked around.
about all I got.
The lakeside of the project's secure. It's just
That's
the crumbs coming down.
It's the other side that's dirty.
But that was part of his property, the lakeside. the
Right,
coffer
yeah,
dam.
They were
Yeah,
separate
it's
properties.
same owner.
They were same
Same
owner,
owner,
but
separate
separate
properties.
properties.
Separate property.
Yeah, that needs to get addressed.
Is there a motion to close the meeting, adjourn? I
Did
don't
we-
know anybody.
So moved.
There were any other things on
No.
other business?
I
or
talked
no?
to Rollins today, so,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Not
Yeah.
that report.
okay, so, Gary, you probably know about this, but one thing he did want to, I asked him, what can I bring back to the commission? I was hoping he was gonna be here today, but apparently, he's got a Citizens Academy.
Oh, is his tonight?
His
Okay,
is
yeah.
tonight, so he couldn't make it. I thought he'd be here to present that 8:45 or whatever number. So, he's doing research on catch basin hoods. Are you familiar with these?
What is it?
Catch basin hoods?
Yeah.
Woods.
Okay.
Hoods are debris hood, they're not anything, they really don't do much for silt. They stop it. What it is you end up with a,
It covers
Your
up
ca-
the
your-
outgoing pipe,
Your catch
right?
basin is just a square block going down, a square shaft going down. The pipe comes through. The hood goes over the pipe, below the flow line.
The exit pipe, right?
The exit
pipe,
goes
right?
over, and it sticks out that much further than, the metal ones are about that much further than the end of the pipe. So it bolts to the wall, sticks down about that much further than the pipe itself, flow line of pipe. So all your paper and all your trash sits on the top.
Cause that
Okay,
doesn't
just
go down like
so
defines
it's a
it.
baffle. Primarily it's a
In
baffle,
addition to the
so your
sump
water
part of
goes
it.
down, goes into the sump, your solids drop into the sump, and then just the clear water comes up. Goes up.
But he said it also filtered out any, oils and stuff that would
Oils
stay on
stay-
the
well,
top of it.
Depends on the
Stay on it.
velocity of water going into the catch basin, okay? And that was a problem with the hospital thing too, that it's just so much velocity going down. But we'll stick with the catch basin. So the velocity coming into the catch basin, if you have a lot of velocity, water goes in and water drops, all right? And it will go down, it will come up, and it will go. But for the most rainfalls that we have, where water goes into the basin, or it's coming down a pipe, it's not coming down in a rush, it's a slight pitch, it'll go in, the oils float to the top. But if you have this much hood, and you have that much oil, it's going out. You know what I mean? They gotta be clean.
Get that much oil?
No, I'm just saying, if you did collect that, if you had an accident or something like that,
Oh.
or it's not maintained.
Okay, and this was something he brought up, there's more maintenance
No,
involved.
it's a great idea.
And he also said that an issue is that most of their sumps are only 2 feet, and they require 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, your standard
Deep
sumps
sumps.
are 2'6".
Yeah,
but
around the lake
They should be a
anyways.
deeper,
But maybe this would be a good, he said they're gonna try them out.
right.
So maybe it would be a good one to, culvert to do in front of this 211.
I think something needs to occur. 211's a good opportunity to,
I mean, we
With
should
a lot of
make
construction
that
there,
guy,
something
make that guy
to improve.
take care of that water.
something there, yeah.
Clean that water
They-
before, he
they
owns
s-
all that water
They
coming
seem-
off that mountain.
They seem to be very receptive to doing anything
Yeah.
we ask of
Why
them.
wouldn't the guy stamp the plan?
I'm just,
You know, he wouldn't stamp it. His boss, my boss is an engineer, he should have stamped the
well,
plan.
you know, that, one of the problems with the presenter is that he's a surveyor, not the engineer.
It wasn't an engineer plan, it was a survey plan,
Right.
which,
Well, that's why
He's
Tom
tough.
had so much detail in his report, because he had
Yes.
3 pages
yes.
of
I
suggestions.
read it, it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it was good, very good.
Yeah,
I mean, with all the money they're spending, why not, do this right?
You're absolutely correct. They don't want that ice. They don't want all that ice in front of their house.
No.
You know,
No, they
come
don't
up
want
their
it either.
driveway, this and that and the other thing, they should look at it. But, I mean, if Tom comes back with it, then they're gonna have to address it. If
He
Tom
wrote a nice
comes
letter.
back with it.
Did you read the letter? Did you read Tom's letter?
Yeah,
He did a nice job on it, clarified it,
it seemed to be.
yeah.
What,
So that's all Jim had.
Okay.
what about item C here, a discussion of charging, I haven't seen this before, a possibility of charging back property owners for post cleanup as related to runoff? Is that from
You
some
know,
big
Jim
storms?
killed that.
He killed it.
He killed that 2 months ago,
Yeah.
saying that, you know, you're wasting your time, basically.
Because
I
nobody
can
takes,
remove it, I left
No,
it just cause.
because nobody takes ownership of the roads?
Well,
Or-
that's
yeah,
part of
those
it.
paper roads, you know, I mean, when we get a heavy rain, you know, and that's why I asked with
Right,
that
yeah.
project by 840 something East Wakefield, are there any paper roads across the street? You know,
But he killed it-
But he
killed
should
it
be able
with
to
the
do it
paper roads.
to individual driveways.
Right, he killed it with the paper roads, but not the individuals. Like the
Right.
guy down by Dutton's, that big washout.
Yeah.
That's the worst in the lake.
Because there is an owner to it. Paper roads, nobody owns.
So
Well, no, I think it should still, I mean, if it's a continual problem,
It
I
is.
I understand the paper roads are, there's just no easy solution there, but if there's one that is owned by somebody,
Well,
I
I guess.
wouldn't wanna take that off the table, right?
You know what, bring it up again, see what, you know, what Jim says, we'll feel them out. Only because, you know, during the summer, you get sand coming on East and West Wakefield Boulevard, and the sand ultimately gets washed into the catch basins, and, you know, no matter how often you pump out a catch basin that you can pump out, some of them you can't. And the offside.
Well, you see the size of those ruts too, so you know how much material's coming down.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Well, you look
And
at-
during the winter, it freezes
Yeah.
and it becomes crevices.
And then they're just filling it with salt, or whatever they use,
Sand,
and that's
yeah.
going into the lake.
Yeah, no, it's a major problem. That's why I asked to have it put on, but he killed it right away. And I'm not
He'll be back.
jumping on him,
He's
but,
not going anywhere.
but it just,
No, I think it still should be, I don't think we
all
should
right,
just back
so
off on.
let's
no,
stay
keep
with it.
Okay, one other question, what's this stuff about, training that we need, that's some kind of state mandated training?
You were supposed
Yeah,
to do
you-
that a long time ago.
Well, it's every year. You need to make sure you have, I forget what the amount of hours are.
Lot.
Yeah, more than you want, I'm sure.
I did do it one year, on
Yeah, I
the
did.
Sundays.
It's sort of a continuing education kind of thing.
Okay.
So I just passed along that email because there was more training opportunities in there for you.
Adam, I think, anybody going down?
I took it last year because it was brought up that everybody, and I took it, and that's where, when I shout off that, we only, in that, they tell you point blank, don't overstep your bounds. Don't ask about the building, don't ask about anything.
Well,
Your business is strictly erosion control, and that's it. Nothing to do with, like, even the statement that I made and that Frank made last week about, a drop manhole, not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? And they're explicit about that in that program. It's a real good program to take, because I think you get a lot of.
Did you go down, it was in Haddam last year?
No, I took it online. Okay. You could take it online last year. This is, just on up,
There are online
Fresh.
opportunities as well.
Yeah, I did.
This
do
was
it
like
one,
10 hours.
just
Yeah.
look on and on and on.
Oh, yeah, being
Yeah,
retired, you don't have time
Oh,
for
well, I
that.
kept it going in,
Never
in the
tried, he's
dining
playing
room.
golf, he's playing golf.
Just did everything else. One nice thing about, I feel about Leonard here is just my opinion. He's part of the town, he's been here forever, he wants to make sure stuff
Yeah.
is done right for the town. So, he doesn't want anything to go bad, he's got a great reputation, he wants to keep it, so. Yeah. Actually, I think all the engineers.
Yeah, I think we're far more receptive to the considerations that an engineer brings forward than when a homeowner brings the same issues forward, really.
Sure.
I
If you
visited,
can afford an engineer.
yeah, I visited that 209 Perch Rock Trail, or 229 Perch Rock Trail. I mean, I met the lady today, it's a simple house, it's got a little brook that just, the water just trickling through.
That plan was 10 pages of plans.
Yeah, I mean, and, she
Probably
was
charged
very
20
happy,
grand.
she said, should I come to the meeting tonight? I said, you know what, you're always welcome to come to the meeting, but you're well represented. All right,
Absolutely.
guys, we're
All
done?
right. I make
Just
a motion
one
to
last
adjourn.
thing, I do have Grimaldi teed up to be the independent engineer for the hospital project.
Yeah,
So if the commission agrees,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
Yes,
get
good.
him going on that.
yeah, good.
Okay.
I'm really curious with all this, if they get the grants.
They get what?
Oh, well, yeah, we're gonna have to find out about that,
What was the question?
if they get the grant.
Oh,
Because,
somebody's laying out a lot of money.
So, we're not gonna do anything on this month. You, me, and.
you said before, we were.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Gary, second. Steve, all in favor of adjourning? Unanimous?
Did,
All
Mason
right,
call?
they
Did
said
Mason-
that we wouldn't finish tonight, but
Good
we
work,
did.
guys.
Did, Mason call today? Steve, did Mason call?
Yeah, he called
He
us.
did,
saying-
oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they're giving